Howdy. Ho, 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 my good humans. How the hell are they doing? Hope y'all are ready to do some rankings, because we are here today to rank every game we played in March 2025. Loon, you got one hell of a list this month, my friend. We got a lot of ranking to do.
Yep. Um, to be fair, it ended up being one of them months for me where stuff trickled over. So it's not as like big as it probably because it was like Warriors, Tails was kind of already in the works, so they're kind of just tagging on for like one more month now that I'm actually finished with them. But yeah, quite a few that actually began this month though, and actually ended up finishing, which was kind of a surprise.
Absolutely. So just for anybody that's looking at the screen here and kind of wondering what DF means, DF means didn't finish, and I got it categorized DFS through A, DFB through C, DFD or below. Um, and my reasoning for this is because I think, or at least for me, I kind of feel pressured to finish games for this ranking specifically because I don't want to rank stuff if I haven't finished it. Like I don't want to give it a, oh, it's a S tier game. If I'm being real, Cabernet kind of fucked me last month where I was like, I loved that game so damn much, and then the more I played it, the more and more buggy it got, and I was
Hmm.
like, all right, I gotta have this specific didn't finish column here made for games like that. That way people don't, you know, look at because I'm sure some people might watch the couple sections they're interested in and then skip to the end and then just look at the rank and they're like, oh, S tier, what the fuck is that game? And then they go and buy it and then realize it's buggy. And yeah, I would like to just at least put there, hey, didn't finish this thing, but last month that would have been like a didn't finish S tier. But at least the little caveat of didn't finish it. Like I can't speak to it in a holistic manner. Like I didn't know that the end of that game was so damn buggy. And we'll talk about it, but golly, the end of that game is so damn buggy. But yeah, so that's why we got the didn't finish columns, and I'm going to keep that for all the rankings going forward. That way, I can just bounce out of games I'm not really wanting to finish.
Yeah, because that's perfect. Because I think of any month that could have hit you as like the realization thing as well, to add that in, it's this month as well. Because I have a title that I threw under the bus after like 3 hours, and it was because it was like, if I push through this, you're gonna get like a 2 hour rant out of me as to why I despise old games. So yeah, I think it's better
Yeah.
to just be like, didn't finish. I can respect it for what it is, but I never want to touch that game in that sense ever again in my life. So
Well, shit, dude. How about we go ahead and get on with our rambles and our rankings here? How do you want to kick this off? Do you want to just go ahead and start with Assassin's Creed Shadows, the big boy of the month? Talk
yeah,
about that, or
especially with it being a title that we both played.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think we'll both have quite a lot to say on it. Um, not all positive and not all negative.
Yeah.
So, did you want to kick it off, or
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I'll just say out the gate, have not finished this, am not going to finish this. So that can kind of lead us into the whole thing here. I am slowly starting to realize Odyssey it might have just been a weird right place, right game scenario, and I just might not like this franchise. Um, and even the smaller Assassin's Creed games that I've played, I really haven't really jived with anything I've played in this series other than Odyssey. And I haven't played a lot in this series, just to be clear. I've kind of dabbled a bit here and there, but like Odyssey is really the only game that I clicked with, and which is so funny because this is the Odyssey team that made Shadows. And so I
and you
thought
can
I was
feel
gonna
it?
click.
Yeah, and you can feel it in its
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to click with this so much, and I don't know, maybe it's a setting thing. I just maybe I really liked the setting with Odyssey. I didn't really like the setting in Origins. I loved the setting in Valhalla, but Valhalla was just so damn bloated, and Odyssey's bloated too. But I don't know. Once again, could have been right game, right time. But with Shadows. I just feel that the story is so damn boring that like I'm not motivated to really do anything in it to see it progress. Like I dig Yasuke's backstory a lot, but then it got to a certain point where after about 10 to 12 hours it was just so just felt gray. I don't know. I know that's not like a great descriptor. It just felt bland. It felt like generic. You know what I mean? Like nothing really compelling was keeping me moving forward. I dig the idea of okay, go and assassinate these 12 people for this specific reason that we ain't got to get into, um but it's like when every single mission the structure of it is designed the exact same way and you know I think about something like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, for example, where there's so many, like Assassin's Creed Shadows plays way better than Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, like gameplay wise, of course. But I was so compelled by Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because the story was so damn good that I would deal with the somewhat lackluster gameplay just to see the next narrative beat take place because it was so fucking compelling. And this I feel the opposite where I'm like the gameplay is strong in this game. Like no doubt the gameplay's good in Shadows. There's some real cool shit that we can dive into a lot of the cool mechanics, but I just cannot possibly give a fuck about what's going on in this story. And I think the world is bland. Um I just some of the shit's cool, like going through the forestry sections, like that's sick. The density of the forests in this game, like that's pretty fucking cool that you're able to just run through these big ass, but even then sometimes it's like it I hate to keep comparing to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has that same thing where it's these big open forest sections, but like it feels more like at times you're running through the forest and you can't even see your character. Have you noticed that?
It's so funny because like the things you're really not clicking with, I've actually enjoyed, and the things that you did kind of click with, like that. My biggest complaint when I was playing, um, was the fact that I don't know what it is about this movement, but it just doesn't feel
Yes.
good to do it in that forest section. And you've got such verticality that you're expected. Is what I ended up noticing because this is my footage, just as an aside, from the playthrough on my channel. Um, when I was trying to get from A to B in a normal RPG and stuff, it's kind of just expected that you're not going to follow the path. Like as the player, you're going to just it's a straight from the point that you're at, that you're standing, and then you want me to go that way, I will go in a straight line. And I was constantly hitting roadblocks of her going up, sliding down, going up, sliding down. And it was just like, what the and I even said it. I've said it multiple times. It's probably been said about 5 times during the series on my channel. What the fuck happened to the movement from Odyssey? Why have they like
Yeah,
everything was climbable in Odyssey, and you could jump from any height and land, and you wouldn't die? And I understand, yes, that's not realistic, but do you know what that is? It's just
fun.
fun. It's fun. It doesn't waste the player's time because I'm not having to circle around a castle 2, 3 times, like trying to find the exact place that you want me to enter in at, or trying to get up this mountain and then sliding down it constantly. It just feels extremely frustrating to just navigate and to get to the landscapes of beauty that they've crafted. Because I ended up
You, it,
resenting the movement in the first
you
few
know,
hours. So sorry.
it, no, I'm cutting you off. My bad. I just want to jump in here talking about this movement real quick. It almost feels like going from Horizon Forbidden West back to Zero Dawn or something, where in Zero Dawn, nothing was climbable. And then in Forbidden West, everything is climbable. And then it's like, we're going backwards. It really I completely agree. And how many times in the process of like trying to parkour around and traverse around is now a like you're doing something and it's just the input feels
It doesn't feel
like
smooth.
it
It doesn't feel smooth.
it doesn't feel smooth.
Oh, I ended up dying earlier today because you even not even just traversing. hills or stuff like that. Even in the towns, when I get into a combat encounter, if there is a lantern on the floor, she just, oh, you want to parkour onto that? No, I don't. Clearly not. I'm trying to like move out of the way because you're spawning like 8 enemies at once and they're all hitting me from 6 different directions. I'm trying to just get everybody on screen at once. And it's just, it's so frustrating that, like you said, it feels like a massive step backwards because Odyssey's movement and combat was so good. With this being the same team that made that, that's what I was hoping would be replicated because they didn't do that in like Valhalla because Valhalla was a different team and they're doing it a different way and stuff. And it was just like, okay, I can excuse that. That's maybe not just their design. They want to do it that way, sure. But when it comes back to this team, I expect that to be brought back. And it's been brought back in an inferior way in almost every single sense. The only thing that feels absolutely incredible is the actual combat when it
Yeah.
works. That's the thing though, when it works. Because even then
Yeah.
there's certain hitches and stuff. But yeah, it's just puzzling. Puzzling that you've accomplished this massive amount of density, which then also brings the negative of I can't see shit when I'm going through the foliage. So I
Right.
can't see what I need to grab onto because there's no indication. So sometimes I'll be running there for like 2, 3 seconds and she's not moved. And it's like, oh, I need to jump. I have no indication
Yeah.
of that because I can't see anything. And it's just like, maybe that's the game like slapping us on the wrist and being like, stick to the path and stuff. But it's like, dude, you made an open world RPG where you're
Right.
pushing exploration. Like, that
Well,
shouldn't be what you're doing. Like, that's crazy.
yeah, I agree, man. And even some of the things that we praise about the game, like the game mechanics are robust, they're interesting, they're I think well designed in a sense of like animation quality. Like there's some really cool animations for Yasuke specifically for some of his kills and just the brutality and some of the stealth takedowns and just they're very well designed. The movement looks good, but in terms of the practicality of the design and utilizing, okay, so we're going into 100 repetitive, similar looking camps and castles, and they're all designed the same way with the same, approach you can take to get in. And then when you get there and you're, about to do your assassination for like your main target, a lot of those mechanics become irrelevant. Like you're not, extinguishing the lantern or blocking off the light, and you're not really having to go prone, and you're not really having to utilize a lot of the coolest mechanics in the game. Like there's not in my experience, I haven't ran into a situation where I have to jump back into the water and use my fucking what's the mechanic called? Um
I can't remember the name of it. But it's
but
like the
where
it's like
you
a bamboo straw that you're basically it's like a rebreather underwater kind of thing.
yeah. And so you're able to breathe underwater for a second. And like these are cool fucking mechanics. But how often are you actually using them? I'm doing the same shit, and maybe that's, that can you can say that's on me for not trying to figure out ways to utilize these mechanics. But like as I'm looking around these environments, I'm looking for sections to go prone and crawl under something and grab a dude's leg and drop him down and slit his throat. And I'm looking for sections where, oh, this main target's actually hanging out by a lake, and I'm gonna jump down in the lake and use my little breathing technique and hide that way. Like I'm trying to find, or the door attacks where you can, I forget the name of the Japanese door, but you can stab through them
Mm.
and kill the enemy that way. I'm looking for ways to use these cool mechanics, but typically it's an open bandit camp. I jump on a roof, I do my target, I dot up all the enemies, and then I go from above, jump down, jump into a bush, wait for them to do their path, take out the one guy that's solo, jump back up vertical, go around, jump down onto the next guy, and then I do that until I can get to my assassination attempt. And once again, maybe that is on me, but it feels like the level design isn't really utilizing all the coolest mechanics of the game.
No, it is exactly that. It's they had a really really cool um I don't know what they I can't remember the name of whatever they would have branded it, but they did it twice basically. And it was kind of like, do you know the Hitman opportunities?
Yeah.
They introduced that heavily in Unity, and then they brought it back in Syndicate. And don't get me wrong, it did feel like, especially for Syndicate, it was a little bit more what do you call it, like on the rails, as it were. It didn't give you
Mhm.
as much freedom as Unity and stuff. But you just don't have any of that here. And it's kind of the thing of like we've seen this time and time again with Ubisoft. They introduce a really, really cool mechanic, but because it takes actual like thought behind it, they're like, yeah, we'll scale that back. We won't go like and try and refine that, but we'll refine something else that's a lot more low effort. Because you're like you said, you're because I'm in the same boat. I have all these tools at my disposal. I have all of this movement, all of this, quote unquote creativity, but it feels like you're punished if you end up using it though. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like the level design is built for you to be using that. So you're having to really brute force actually beginning to use it, and then it's just like, well, it always kind of blows up in your face because the level design isn't designed that way to have that effectively work. Um, yeah, it is unfortunate. I've only had one instance where crawling underneath a house has worked and coming in through the bottom in the way that like you would expect it to work. All the other times it's like, oh well, the no nothing important is in there and there's nobody like in there anyway. It's just like, well, what the fuck is the
Yeah.
point of this? Like, you've really hammered home like you can go prone, and like that was a massive marketing thing, and it was when you see it, you're like, oh damn, they're gonna take stealth seriously. No, they're not really. They're still putting action at the forefront because you have a dual protagonist which is meant to complement either playstyle. And even now, gets thrown into combat scenarios so often. She rarely gets like full
Yeah.
fledged stealth sections. There was even early in the game, you're being thrown in, and it's just because I was even saying it. I was like, I thought she's meant to be like the stealth character. Like, what is going on here? This is crazy.
Right.
Save this shit for like Yasuke. But they just want, got to keep that, the heart pumping and the beat pounding and stuff. So I don't know.
Well, it's the thing too where if a lot of these levels have to be designed for Yasuke or Naoe, then yeah, you're not going to have cool ass interior design where you can crawl up through a vent or, sneak in through this window. And there are a couple instances where I could sneak in through a window and loop back around and go vertical and find the main assassination target. And like those moments, I'm like, yes, man, more of this. But when most things have to be completed for Yasuke or Naoe, then I don't know. Dual protagonists, I don't really dual protagonists with very different play styles. I don't know if I'm necessarily for that in like this big open world RPG thing. I think that, well, I don't know, because I guess if you're Taylor creating a character and trying to build it a certain way, but I still do think that at times you're going to have to sacrifice really cool stealth encounters to ensure that when you're building this game, you can also build it for this big action, mano a mano battle opposed to all the cool, like something, for instance, where the L1, when you use L1 and she uses her grapple hook thing and is able to kind of go vertical and get out the way momentarily. I, that is something that is cool the in theory that's cool, but in practice it feels so mechanical. It feels so um
It felt
like you
stiff
said,
to me, if I'm being
yeah,
100%
on rails.
on rails and stiff, because when you're doing you go up and down, which I would even say that that felt good in comparison to swinging. The swinging
Yeah.
felt awful. The swinging has like you instantly just have full momentum. It's just that thing of like yeah, it felt yeah terrible.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at a system like that and I'm like, man, I wonder if they were creating a game that was only now way. If you were only playing as the stealth chick, could they have really hammered home and made you feel like fucking Spider-Man out there? Not literally, but you know what I mean, where it's fully like you don't have to have a lock on thing and press L1 and it kind of like I don't, it almost magnetizes it to where there's really no skill involved. There's really no, it's just if the icon pops up, cool, you get to use L1. But it would be cool to just throw that thing up there. And if it catches, it catches. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But have it actually with like that dynamic sort of feel, the physics of actually trying to throw that grapple hook up there and it having to latch onto something. That way you can use it to pull yourself up. Because there's so many instances as well, even on the flip side, where I'm looking right up at a building that I should be able to latch onto, and the L1 icon's not popping up, so I'm not able to fucking use it. And I was just thinking so many times of how cool it would be just to throw that thing up, and if it latches, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I got to try again.
So
Because I
so
even think in
I
some instances it'd be easier.
I do have a little bit of it. Depends if you're in water, you can't really fix that. But how you would fix that if you're on foot is you're meant to run up the wall and then so you get to it at a higher point and then you're able to throw it. Just as an aside, if you didn't try that out.
But there's like some, because that's another thing where verticality isn't necessarily offered up in spades in this game. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
no,
you're
but I
you're kind
was
of dealing.
envisioning like a castle wall is what you meant, and then you know that you're able to grapple onto like the like tiling. But if you're doing it from the ground, trying to get to that, you're just short. You would think that you can make it, but you can't. But if you run up the wall, like scurry up it, it would then give
Yeah.
you the prompt to do that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, because some of these things are like um, pretty small scale environments,
mm,
and I would think I'd be able to just kind of jump up and grab onto
yep.
it, but then I'm not. And then I'm like looking for the L1 and it's not there. But then if I walk back a couple steps, like just move my character slightly, then L1 pops up. And it's just, I don't know. Those things are, it makes it, it makes the game feel limited to me. Like it makes it feel like, once again, just magnetized. And I don't want to sit here and just bash on the game all throughout this entire fucking conversation because there are cool things about this game. But I just want to kind of cap off my final thoughts with this in terms of why I'm out is as cool as some of the gameplay mechanics can be at times, I'm a story guy. And I just sit here and I'm looking, watching this play out. I'm looking at these facial animations. I'm looking at this horrible presentation at times. The lip sync, the voice acting is horrendous at times, and it's just removing me from caring about anything that's going on. And I don't want to be I I hate acquisition. I hate the idea of companies going under, getting bought out, or anything like that. I would much rather companies remain independent, but they're not a fucking independent company. They're publicly traded. So at that point, it's like all shareholder approval anyway. So I just look at this game and I'm like, man, if Sony or Microsoft got a hold of this, what could this be? You know what I mean? Like, what could this be if there was really, and I know that both of those companies put out stinkers, but it's like, what could this be with fucking character models that look like Tsushima? You know what I mean? Could this be a Wolfenstein to Indiana Jones leap in terms of, in terms of, in my opinion, everything, but it just in terms of storytelling. Like, what could we really get here? And because with the rumors of Ubisoft looking to sell off their IP, I was like, damn. I don't
There's
know.
no way they would sell Assassin's Creed. That'll be the last thing they part with. It makes them way too much money.
I but what I'm saying is like if it gets to a point where they're selling everything.
Oh yeah, if they're selling everything, then yeah, that's different. But I think they would hold on to that with like clenched teeth because even in its state, you have people like me that are enjoying it for the most part. Um, I'll,
Well,
I'll shower
let's go there then.
I'll shower praise on it. I think that it is visually stunning. Like something that gave me like truly like jaw dropping moments is when you're actually fast traveling and then it pans in the loading screen and stuff. Like that's really really good. And I think that's all like in engine. I don't think that's like any magic behind the scene. I think that's like pure in engine, which is like credit, man. Like you do make environments that look beautiful. Um, I will also throw praise on them because you're saying about facial animations. I haven't had to like worry about that because I've decided to just read the dialogue because I'm listening to it in Japanese because I knew that
Bro,
it
no.
would take me out of it. No, no, I'm not saying that as an excuse and
Oh, okay.
of like adhering them. Like it's what I'm praising is the Japanese voice actors are incredible compared to the
Oh,
English
okay.
voice actors. Oh my god, they do an incredible job. Like every single voice actor is like putting their heart and soul into it, and like credit to that, man. Credit to that. And yeah, because I knew, kind of pivoting back to the negative thing of I knew the lip sync and facial animations were going to be absolute dog, as they always are. Ever since
It's
they've gone
crazy.
down this making it all in like the same engine and stuff, it just doesn't look good. It just when their IPs were kind of separated, because you look back to it's crazy to think like I would say Assassin's Creed 4 like character animations and even 3 like they were obviously from that time of PS3 and stuff, but they still looked better, and the lip sync was probably better than it is now because it just seems unnatural. Like there's just not enough going on there. Dude, the hideout system, we can't like sleep on that. That's really well thought out and really pretty damn like it's not for me. Like I'm not going to be
Nope,
dumping
same.
hours and hours into that. But like you're talking about how Fallout 4 got showered with praise for their base building thing, and that was pretty shit in comparison, if I'm being honest.
I
Like
hated both.
it's really well done. Um, but yeah, um, the story I'm not as cold on it as you are. What I will say though is I'm getting a bit sick of why does everything why are they every time with these games it's always forging it, forge the creed, forge like Assassin's Creed 1 was the very first game in the series and it was already established. Like you don't have to keep going back to like the origins of every single time in these like you can just have something that exists. Like especially you're like the 20th game in the series. Like you don't need to keep like stirring the bottom of that pot. Um so that plot point of that, but I think the actual moment to moment stories when you're interacting with characters aren't too bad personally. It was interesting with the introduction with like Nobunaga and stuff with Yasuke. That was kind of cool.
The introduction's sick.
Um, the blending with like the Portuguese and stuff has some interesting stuff going on there. So it's not like a full dud. I will say I'm much more like it's weird for me to have heard you be like this down on it when you weren't that down on like Outlaws because to me this is like night and day difference, like better than Outlaws personally. And that's like me slicing off the bias of Assassin's Creed and still being like I'd say it's like 10 points still above like Outlaws. Like Outlaws just look like shit in many aspects with like the facial animations as well and the animations of like takedowns was just laughable. and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Like the and
that's the thing of like putting me off to the point where it's like I can't get to the good stuff because it looks so poorly done, if that makes sense.
to me, I think that I would like to play a game with Naue designed how Star Wars Outlaws was designed, where it's like an actual stealth game where there's actually
Mhm.
you know what I mean, where it's designed around stealth. I think that was the thing that I liked about Star Wars Outlaws, where it was I was seeing different shit. I was going to different locations and having to take on and tackle these missions differently depending on the new location that I was in that was presenting me with new options. It just felt more it felt more not robust, but it felt like I had my stealth toolkit, and every time I was going into a new level, I was seeing something new and I was tackling it a new way, and it just it didn't feel as repetitive as. And I'm on my speeder bike and I'm going out into space. Like I just had more shit I was doing that was, and also it just wasn't as fucking bloated, man. Like it felt like I went through Star Wars Outlaws in 30 hours and I'm 20 hours into Shadows and I don't even at times know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I went and chased teapots for 2 hours, just running around chasing down teapots. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do? There's these 12 assassination targets, and I'm checking them off. And then whenever they end up going away and I can't do that anymore, I'm trying to figure out what to do to get back to going through the 12 assassination targets. So I go off and do one of the other fucking weird branching things that there's no indication of what is good and what is bad. If you want to have bad missions, label them as all other games do. Side quest. Side quest equals bad mission. And we all know that. So we put all the bad missions in side quests, all the good missions main story. Do it how every other game in the history of games has done it. And obviously, I'm fucking joking. There's some games with really good side quests. Shout out to Mass Effect 2. And actually, Mass Effect Andromeda had really good side quests as well. Witcher 3. There's a ton of games with really fucking good side quests. Chasing teapots is not a fucking good side quest. And if you're going to have that shit, label it so specifically side quest. It it was that was a point where I was like, yeah, man, I'm this is I gotta fucking put this down. I feel my blood pressure rising as I'm going around chasing these stupid fucking teapots. And I, before I have an aneurysm, here's the thing. If it was labeled properly, I would have never done that in the first place. If I just knew what to do to get to the good shit, get me back around to the good shit, back around to the missions that are well designed with fun mechanics, and if there are side content that I have to do to get back to the main content, branch me there appropriately. Just point me in the right direction, and then I won't be chasing down fucking teapots for 6 hours.
Yeah, no, that is a fair criticism. I've not actually ran into any teapots myself. Um, Other than looting them, that's probably what you're talking about because it didn't mark it as a quest item. So I think I found a teapot without even needing to do the quest. So that's
Oh well, that's
one less teapot in the long run.
bro.
Whoop whoop.
Let me let me just explain this to you real quick, to just so people understand how awful this is. The quest is literally you go to six different teapot distributors, six different people who sell teapots. All you do is you go, you fucking open up their shop tab and you buy it. The mission is complete. And then you go to the next one that's 1,000 miles away, buy it, and then the mission is complete. Nothing happens, dude. Literally nothing happens except you buy teapots. It's fucking crazy. And I mean, this is like I'm not I was probably being hyperbolic about 2 hours, but this is no joke, an hour long mission, 45 minutes.
Yeah, if you're doing it in that manner, I think as well is that they design their games in a specific way as well. You're not meant to when you accept a quest and then it tells you to go 1,800 meters. they're not expecting you to go and do that right away. They're expecting you to go, okay, what's in between me and that 1,800 meters, and I'll do all that stuff, and then I'll get to that area later. Because that's how my brain works with it. Um, but that's because as well as that's the completionist in me. Like I know I'm going to be doing everything in the game. I'm fully understanding and aware that this is probably going to be like an 100-hour experience, maybe more. And I'm kind of like, I've already processed that in my head. So when I'm going through and doing all these tiny things and stuff, it doesn't feel as much of a drag content wise because I'm not in a rush to finish it either. Because I like to
I just,
savor Assassin's Creed games.
and I think that is worth pointing out is that this is the type of game that people will buy. This is a Grand Theft Auto, a Red Dead. This is an Elden Ring. This is that one game for people
Yeah, for a
that
lot. Yeah.
someone will pick up Assassin's Creed and buy that, and that'll be the one game they play all of 2025. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of game. So people like me are probably the outliers where I don't want all that shit. But I do often think if you cut out 70% of the bloat, is it possible that you can make your story even just 30% better? More interesting, more engaging, better looking, better motion capture? Like, is it fucking possible? I know that shit's expensive, but it's embarrassing that they're a AAA company and they're so far behind everyone in terms of the motion capture and the cutscene quality and the voice acting, and they're just so behind everyone in storytelling, in my opinion. But I'm gonna shut up with my negatives and let you praise the positives.
Yeah, well, this is the only problem is that obviously I've not made it as further as you, so I can't be like. But it's always the thing of with Valhalla, Origins, and Odyssey, even like all of them, and this they all have the same design formula. So if you don't enjoy them, you aren't gonna enjoy this because the historical time period will only push you to keep your attention only a certain amount of time before you'll be like, I gotta I'm sick of all this stuff in between it and stuff like that. So if it's a formula that you didn't click with in the past, you're not going to click with it now. And like you said, I think a lot of people are probably going to get into the realization that you got into, where it just happened to be that right time. Like, yeah, I could go for like a massive juggernaut bloated mess, but not actually perceive it as that when you're playing through it because you've not played like five of these now
Yeah.
at that time. Um, So now that you've played it, you're like, I don't like the Assassin's Creed storytelling. I don't care for the world design, and I don't care for their quest. So what am I here for?
And that's something I will say just to the Star Wars Outlaws thing. I think Star Wars Outlaws dog walks this thing in terms of storytelling. And I don't think Star Wars Outlaws has a good story either, really. I think it gets better, but like yeah, I just said I'm going to shut up with my negatives, so let me shut the fuck up with my
No,
negatives.
that's fine.
I,
Like I said, I can't really what this will be is a revisit from me. This will probably be. I won't include it in next month's things because I don't think it'll be done even by then. It may be like a 2 3 month down the line, and what will most likely have happened by then, I've done everything in the game. So I'll be able to have a complete be like, how does this stack up to Odyssey when I had I've done every story piece in Odyssey, DLC, everything. So I can, but the intro it's a lot higher quality, is what I'll say. The story beats that they're actually presenting are a lot more higher budget than Valhalla had, and I like the way
oh
they've
yeah.
pieced it. I know you're not a fan of like the thing of what they're doing with the thing of the trees and stuff, but it's a lot better than what they had it laid out in Valhalla. Valhalla was god awful, in my opinion, and the way it tackled the main content stuff.
Yeah. It it feels like they want to have that sort of Elden Ring thing where it's like it's not as streamlined and you kind of got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, because you're meant
But
to read the descriptions and stuff to try and suss out what is actually side quests and what isn't. because it'll be like, oh, we need to talk to him, so he'll tell us where Matsuhude or whoever the hell the guy's name is. So you need to like kind of keep in mind who. Okay, so that's the target. That'll be his lieutenant. I need to target the lieutenant to get because you know all of them will have a piece of paper to trail you to each thing, and that's kind of how their design lays out.
I think the problem with that though is when you truly don't give a fuck about anything that they're presenting to you,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to take the time to really invest in it like
Mm-hmm.
people will with an Elden Ring or a Baldur's Gate or a
Yep.
Metro or whatever. Like you're invested, so you're like, um, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I hate to keep doing this, but I'm so invested in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 narratively that like I'm willing to put up with a lot of the tedium. And here, whenever they throw out some of the tedious shit, I'm like, for this story, you think I'm gonna? Are you out of your fucking mind?
I am.
Um, and
It's
so it, it's a thing to me where I'm also I got to admit as well, I'm in a very specific pocket where I'm very tired of open world guy with sword games. You know what I mean? And so it could be that thing as well, where I I made a whole video about it with the time and place for games. I don't think this is a bad game. I don't think it's a poorly made game. I think there's aspects of it that are poorly made. I think this is something that a lot of people will pick up and really click with in this specific time if you're looking for this specific thing.
yep.
I'm just not. And I don't I'm starting to realize I might not ever be looking for something like this again in my life. Like I might not ever be in the mood for a 200-hour, poorly made story with just things to go and check off.
No, that's fair because you even, like you said, there were aspects of Kingdom Come that even felt like a drag at times, and that's
Oh
got
yeah.
a hell of a lot more of a thing. So it is. There's nuances to games that you're beginning to become aware of that you kind of hadn't like probably targeted before in your mind of stuff like that because it's like heavily this stuff like Fallout and stuff. It's all environmental based exploration and stuff. They want you to constantly be go to location, check off, go to location, check off. And if that's not something like a loop that you're interested in because you just want the narrative, it's just yeah, it's never going to be for you. Whereas for certain other people, like I said myself, I wouldn't want this, and that's the thing, I wouldn't want this in every game. But I haven't like I purposefully didn't pick Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 up because I knew for one I wouldn't be done with it in time, and I wanted to be in like a fresh mindset for this and not have like fatigue, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
if I would have pushed through and put in like 20 hours of Kingdom Come by the time this come out, I then have that looming over my head of like, okay, you need to finish it, you need to finish it, and then you'd have, and it's just a juggernaut, and that yeah, it just feels like you're suffocating yourself.
Totally.
So
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the thing as well with 2025. There's so many great games releasing this year that it's hard for me to make time for good games. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is a good game,
yeah,
but I'm not going to keep playing it whenever there's fucking Expedition 33 right around the corner and Doom and fucking Outer Worlds and like all these things right around the corner, which Outer Worlds will be later on, but like all these games right around the corner that I would much rather dive into those and give those my full attention. Even like Atomfall, I don't think I'll probably dive into that, but like there's so much competition that is
well, South of
um
Midnight is the next 2 weeks.
right south of midnight's coming up. I'll definitely be diving into that. And there's so much competition around every fucking corner that could be great that I don't really want to make time for just good. And I feel like Assassin's Creed Shadows is just good. It's fine. And I would even say less than good for me personally, but I can acknowledge it's a well-made game. I don't really like it a lot, if I'm
Yeah,
being honest, but it's a well-made game.
yeah. Well, it's also the thing of like, if you're a fan of the series, you've been screaming for this setting for what 12 years. I've been like wanting them to go here. So to
But
finally
it's
get it,
just
it's just like hell yeah, fine, finally. So
It's just such a bummer that it was after Tsushima, and I know that that comparison's been made a million times on the internet, but it's like, man, oh man, you really fucking missed the ball there. The level of storytelling that you have. If someone, but that's the thing. A lot of people are jumping into Assassin's Creed games not for story, but for the checkbox kind of thing, and you can get that with both games, but you're definitely getting more of that in Shadows. Like it's much, much bigger, much more to do. But boy, if you're wanting to play a game like this and you're wanting to actually have a story told to you that's moderately decent, please go play fucking Tsushima before you dive into this.
yeah, I think drawing the comparison to that aggressively though is a little bit unfair with it being a first party, you know, studio from PlayStation firing on all cylinders and stuff.
Ubisoft's got 10,000 fucking
I know
people
they got
working on this thing.
I know they got 10,000 people, but there's a big difference in like design philosophy. Like that's coming from Sony when they were at their literal peak, you know, firing off, you know, single player narrative driven experiences first and stuff like that. Cuz it I had that say the thing is because I'm saying that because a ton of people threw Neo 2 under the bus because the fact that Sekiro got announced during a similar time, and it's just like it seems very.
That one's not fair.
Another,
Team Ninja compared to fucking FromSoft isn't fair.
but I think they're also it's the same thing though. They have their own design philosophies and stuff, and I think they're gonna do things that excel in their own ways, and they'll have their own shortcomings, and I think that's the same for this as well. So I will say Tsushima is of course the better product, like quality, story, and everything. But yeah, I've seen so many people like be like, don't even bother trying it and go play Tsushima again and stuff like that. And it's just like,
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think even mechanically, you can make an argument that Shadows might be stronger than Tsushima in a lot of instances. In terms of just variety and breadth of mechanics, like Shadows might outdo Tsushima. But I'm saying specifically if you're looking for a
yeah,
story
if you want the narrative,
in feudal
absolutely.
Japan,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
Cool, man.
So
Well,
where would you rank it? F F F by the sounds.
nah, I mean, listen, I it'd be C tier for me, but I'm gonna put it, didn't finish in the B through C range. But just to be clear, that's C for me. Like that's not a B. That's a C for me.
So you're putting
I
it in
would
the
say
B?
like
Did you say?
no, they didn't finish B through C range.
Didn't finish B through C. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I want to be clear, C, not B.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if that's okay. No, that's fine. It was doing some weird like pixelation thing. I think that's because it was
Oh
tabbing
shit.
between things. That's fine.
Okay.
For me, hmm, I don't have enough gripes with it to have it drop to a B right now. Like my feeling is A. Didn't finish A. Um,
Okay.
it's the same team that gave me a game with Odyssey and stuff, so I see their bones there. There's things that they've dropped the ball with, but there's things that they've definitely refined. And like I said, it's just different strokes for different folks. At the end of the day, there's me
Totally.
that will sit there and scream till I'm blue in the face, like because I'll give this game that like praise, and then I'll be like Outlaws. I don't think is particularly good, and Starfield, but there'll be people who are like Starfield is like one of the greatest RPG, and it's just like for me it
Well,
isn't, but for those people that it really does click with, I can see through their eyes like when something really does hit everything that you want, you will just resonate with something. It doesn't matter how bad and broken something is, it's just for you.
well, and it's once again to go back to this and beat the fucking nail until it's completely dead. Um, the the same thing. Starfield, sci-fi. Star Wars, Outlaws, sci-fi. Compared to feudal Japan, for me, I'm much more interested in a sci-fi setting than a feudal Japan setting. And the feudal Japan setting that I wanted in a game was perfected with Tsushima exactly how I want it. Narrative first. extremely high quality in terms of the story and the production value and all that. And then this isn't the type of game I want in feudal Japan. But I mean, dude, there was a moment where I got onto one of those little fucking boat things, and another boat wrecked into me. The ship goes, or the boat goes like fucking exploding in half. And like, there's cool little things like the horse being able to swim. Some of that shit is very different in Shadows, and just the swimming and all the functionality there. Like, there's cool things in this game. I don't want to completely shit on it, but
Mhm.
yeah, for me, I can totally understand why people would say, "Oh, this is like a A tier game. It's fun. It can be really fun at times."
Yep, absolutely.
So you
I put it and didn't finish yesterday. It would be an A for me,
perfect,
not an S.
perfect, perfect. Well, my friend, do you want to talk about some split fiction?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so you and I played through the entirety of this on the channel. If you want to really hear us rant and rave as we're playing things and discovering things. Listen, I don't, I know most people aren't going to sit through a full playthrough. But if you really, and I think I timestamped it, go to the final stream that we did. And I timestamped it to, I don't remember what I said the moment where we realized this game was the shitter. So I don't remember exactly how I timestamped it. But the moment, man, there's a moment in this game at the end of the game. If you don't care about spoilers, go and look at that. And obviously, we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to roll it here.
No. No,
And then
I've
I'll
got the
try.
first stream rolling from the very first part.
Perfect. And I'll try to dance around it, but it's one of the coolest endings that's ever happened in the history of video games. And there's moments in that game, not even just the ending, but kind of leading up to the ending. I, I don't want people to waste 4 hours of their time watching. I get it. I totally understand that people aren't don't want to sit there and watch 4 hours of someone else playing a game. But I would say that that last 4 hours that we played, that the final stream that we did, or the final recording that we did, that's one of the fucking strongest 4 hours, final 4 hours of any game I've ever played in my life, dude. The, not mild spoilers, but like the pinball section. Are you kidding me? Do you remember how fun that was?
Yep. No, absolutely. Not only just that, it's just because that was already like if it would have ended on that, that would have probably ended it like as an A tier because you'd be like, man, the creativity on display like throughout all this game, and then ending it on something like that, go like almost being like, yeah, going back to the roots of like gaming, as it were, and just going back to
Yeah.
like the simplest, and then it just yeah, there was just a moment where it was just like, wow, they actually mean business. This is actually insane. Like I thought that was the height of your creativity. Nope, that was the setup to the joke almost. Like
Right.
it's just like yeah, just I
I,
think we said the best co-op game ever.
ever. Ever. It's so crazy, man. And like sometimes I get into this rut where I start feeling like I'm losing passion a little bit for games, where I'm like everything I'm playing I'm a little bit more sour on than the rest of the internet. And then something like this comes along and reminds me like, no, man, I just want creative shit. I want things to feel fresh and new and different. And like every moment of this, we're in the wizarding world and turning each other into cheese, fucking rolling yarn and like going in, to the ice cream level. And like we're doing so much shit that is like, oh, okay, now we're in Harry Potter. Now we're in fucking the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like now we're in dance competitions. Now we're going in SSX competing with one another. Like it was fucking crazy, bro. It was insane. Hey, can we pause 1 second?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, man. I feel that we could we could spin in circles and I kind of don't want to talk too much about everything in the game to leave some mystery for what people can find because it's a 14, 15-hour game. And I don't want this to be a thing where I spoil all the cool shit about it. I want people to see a lot of that stuff for themselves.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, you take it away. What do you think about split fiction? Are you I know we were both kind of red hot on it at the end. Have you thought more about it, kind of cooled off a bit? Are you still at that peak level of red hotness?
Um, so it's really interesting because I don't know if we spoke about it, but in the Discord when it obviously came out and we were putting out the episodes, there were people who didn't have co-op partners and they were like, oh, if anybody wants to play and stuff. And it's just like I gave it like a full, and it's just like I will never play this game ever again. In the same way, I never played A Way Out again,
Yeah.
and I will never. I didn't finish It Takes Two, so I can't say I won't like go back in because I wouldn't mind seeing like the conclusion to that story, but I'm not in like a dire need to do it. But it's a weird thing with like this kind of co-op game because it left such an impression and an impact because it is the best co-op thing, but it's the thing of like with how you drew your comparison of like Odyssey being like right place, right time kind of thing. It kind of with these types of co-op games, for me personally at least, they're a once in a lifetime thing. I don't want to ever replay it because everything that the game had as a payoff is the wow factor for me. It's holy shit, they thought of doing that next. Oh my god, that's what's up. And it's just like cool, cool. When you know that that's coming up, all that leaves me with because the narrative wasn't really all that. If we're being honest, it was
Uh,
the weakest part of the game, and then I'm just left with my least favorite genre, which is platforming for the most
hmm.
part, which is what the game is. So for me, it's just the type of thing of like it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still red. Like I would happily. This is in like the top six, like game of the year for me. But it's one of the things of like where I'll never go back to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I was watching March Madness this past weekend
Hmm.
with my buddies, and I have the PS5 copy, and I was thinking to myself, like, it's such a bummer that I can't just put this in and go right to the final level and show them that. You know what I mean? Like there's parts of this game because I guess to be clear, we could have done that if
If we played it on PlayStation, is
on
the caveat, but we
PlayStation.
played it on Xbox.
Right. And I took my Xbox copy back.
Yeah.
Um, and, and so, but that was my whole plan, buy it to take it back and then keep the PS5 copy for the physical collection.
Hmm.
Um, and, and so, yeah, it's the thing where I think that the level design is so fucking good that it's almost a bummer that you can't just pick the level you want to play from the start. And I understand why you can't, of course. You want to see the game in its totality, but I just wish I could take my PS5 copy over to my buddy's house, plop it into his PS5, pick any level that we want to play. Like, oh, dude, check out this pinball section. Oh, dude, check out this SSX tournament. Oh, dude, check out this. You know what I mean? Oh, look at the floaties. Let's go and try to. Like, I would really like to just pop that in with my buddy and sit there and try to, because we were trying to be able to dive through the floaties
Mm.
in the section of the with the diving board and the slides and all that. I would really like to just sit there for an hour to see any weird shit we could figure out in that little level because it just that's fun to me, like little fun goofy shit like that. I'd like to go into the wizarding world and see if there's anything we possibly missed or the side quests that we didn't find. I'd like to just kind of go back around and try to do those. But once again, and I think they're going to go single player next or single player with the option for co-op next because I do think they are missing a mass audience
Yeah.
who just and it's such a funny thing. People think that like, oh, if you ain't got a co-op partner, like you're some loser or some shit. It's like, dude, a lot of people just don't have friends that play games. Like you got to understand that when you hit 30 years old or 20 plus years old, most people are working 60 plus hours a week. Like they don't have fucking time for video games. A lot of people don't make time for video games because they're so fucking tired, man.
Mm.
They got kids that they're raising and like people are just fucking tired. They don't want to play a video game. But like, and so there's that section, millions and millions of people who don't have a buddy to play with who would have loved this game so much. And it's like, you're missing millions. But I mean, they still fucking their peak concurrent player count was at like it was fucking nuts. It was like 200 something thousand players.
Yeah, that is just I hate that as like an argument though as well because even like us, you and me, it would it would have been if we weren't doing it on the video. It would have been probably highly likely you would have struggled to find like somebody to see that final level in finality, like and
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Exactly.
because you can find people, it's finishing it because this is like what 12-ish hours I think it was in total for us.
Yeah, something
It
like
was
that.
three
And
4 hour videos, maybe a little bit longer. Like, yeah, it's such a stupid mindset to be like, yeah, because I have like 5 people that would play it. It's like, well, there's tons of people because I talk to tons of people, and it's just it's just not something that they would have experienced either because it's so hard to, like you said, pin down a person. Because I have somebody that probably would have played through the opening with me, and also wouldn't have seen it through to the end, and they constantly come online at the same time every single night. But it's the thing of like you said, you just eventually it's so draining to have to do something because it would be throwing stuff at you constantly, and it'd be like, oh, this is a bit exhausting.
well, yeah, and it's the scheduling aspect that's a bitch too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you'll probably have a day with a buddy where you can play a hour of a game, but 12 of those hours trying to schedule that out, like that's not easy. You know what I mean? And thankfully you and I were doing this, so it's like we were committed to it a little bit more than most people, but I've played a way out. I didn't finish A Way Out. I've played It Takes Two. I didn't finish It Takes Two. The only reason we finished this is because you and I played it together. Like it's
And we made a point. The
so
difference
yeah.
is not just we played it together, we made a point to knock it out because it could have been,
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been like, oh, I don't want to play with you, or vice versa, you don't want to play. If we didn't be like, look, we're going to do this 3 days in a row, we probably wouldn't have cleared it because other things would
right.
have like rolled out
Right.
and it would have been, all right, we need to do the monthly games, right? We need to do that. And it would just get suffocated. It's just life.
Totally. 100%. Absolutely. And one thing I will say about this game is that tell me if you agree with this. I don't want this to sound shitty, but I think if you cut the side content out of this game and you released it for $20 and it had no association with EA, it had no big name branding behind it, an unnamed indie developer, say an unnamed indie developer released this side content for $20. I think that alone would be nominated for Game of the Year. The side content I think is so fucking ridiculously good in this that like I, I think all of the best shit comes from the main story, or a lot of the best shit comes from the main story. But I think this, and that's another example when I'm talking about how I dislike Shadows and dislike a lot of the side content in these big, bloated, just boring ass games that just throw so much side content that has no impact. This has such impact with the side content. All of it that you do actually fucking matters. It's actually fun. It's actually interesting. Um, like I really think the
Uh,
side content in this is better than most games.
hmm. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think I would fall in. I think because it is incredible side content, but I think it benefits from the fact of it being you're constantly for the main story. It's basically like a slide, if that makes sense. You're constantly like you're on rails of like with the the motorbikes at chase sections and stuff like that. Like it's constantly pushing you forward, so there's no stopping really, for the most part,
Yeah.
which is the best parts. So when you do get round to that sides content, it slows you down, and that's why I think we appreciate it a little bit more. I think if you were to just put the side stuff out, it would lose a little bit of that like specialness and charm
Direction. Yeah.
because it would be like, okay, well that's kind of goofy of like the dentist section and stuff, but I don't think it would get nommed personally. I think it would be very,
Uh,
very creative. I don't think it would get nommed.
maybe okay, maybe not nominated for like maybe not nominated in a year like 2025 or 2023 or but like a 2019, a 2014. Like I'm not saying even necessarily a lock for a nomination, but I'm saying when people like you and I are speculating about the
Okay.
six games
So
that
like
you
okay, yeah,
like
yeah, okay. Maybe. It could be,
or
yeah.
like or like an indie game of the year nomination or just I'm saying the side content is so good that if it was released on its own, it would be acknowledged as like some of the best of the year in some list, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be an underrated like gem.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. I it's so hard to put it down too. I don't remember which stream it was where I was like, dude, I
It
could
was all of
it was
them.
all of them.
Every time at the end you're like, man, I don't want to stop, but we have to because it's been like four
Yeah.
hours and we got shit to do.
Well, and that's the thing, Lunas. I'm typically a 2 to 5 hour guy with my gaming sessions. I'm about 2 to 5 hours. I never go over 5 hours, hardly ever. And usually it's 2 to 4 is kind of the typical run. We ran 4 every single time, and I could have went 8 every single time. I could have doubled that 4 every if it wasn't for this uncomfortable ass chair and obviously having obligations, having shit we had to do. But like if I had nothing to do, sitting on a nice comfy couch, I could have played that for 8 hours every single time. It's so fucking, it's refreshing, constantly new, fun. And then we're in the day and age of Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and everything competing for your time and attention. Like having something that is just constantly hitting you with new, your fucking dopamine receptors are just firing on all cylinders. And like I understand I understand people being like, the complaints of, oh, the TikTok age, oh, attention spans are shortening. And I do understand that. And I agree to a certain extent. Like, it's a bummer that shit like Red Dead 2 can't be appreciated by a whole generation potentially, or Kingdom Come 2 can't be appreciated by a whole generation potentially. Like, that's a problem. But I feel like this is one of the only answers to the problem I've seen yet, where it's like this is a game that for our generation, older than us, and the new TikTok generation that came up on instant, quick, hyper quick gratification. Like I think everyone is gonna play this and enjoy it. I I don't know how you pick this up and don't have fun with it.
Yeah. I think the only thing that would get in the way is if you genuinely just don't like platformers. Because that's what I need to also. I do need to hammer that home. Like, I just don't like platformers. Really, just don't. So for it to have made the impact that it did with me, to actually want to continue, because if this was like a if this was like a 3D platformer and it was just co-op and you was just like, yeah, let's go and do this, like I'll be like, no, man, I'm tapping out. If it didn't have that creativity put behind it and wasn't so well made and just enjoyable to play, like they've got something over there that's really special, and it links back to, I think, moving forward they do need to have it so that you can play it solo, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, like 200,000 concurrent players, amazing, really amazing. You'd have got double that if it was solo and co-op.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so much money left on the table. But then, because I think we drew the conclusion, is that at the same time, though, if this is like a bot AI partner, you're not going to get that, you know, connection. I don't think as much. I think it's so purposefully built, you wouldn't get the connection that they're trying to achieve. So,
Yeah. It's I agree. And I think that I think they'll always have the option for couch co-op and split screen online and all of that. I think that'll always be there, but I think they do need. I think they going into the next game. I think it should be like legitimately. If you're playing by yourself, you're playing by yourself. Where
Oh,
the game can be designed around like not having a companion at all.
that would be interesting. I don't know if that would limit their creativity.
You're right, and that's possible. And maybe so you just do throw the companion in there, and you just have
Without
a less.
without spoiling it, like you got to think of like not only that climax section, you need two players for that. It doesn't work
Yeah,
solo. All the core gameplays were you doing something that allowed me to do something. There was interactability constantly, you know.
true. Yeah, you're right. You're
So
right.
I think it would
I don't
have.
think they'll pull
So I don't know like what if they went fully solo, could you pull that off?
that. I don't think they'll try to pull that off again. I think that's kind of their, and maybe they will. I mean, hell, you got the technology. Honestly, not okay. No spoilers, but honestly, I'd start the next game with that. Like punch him in the gut immediately with that. For the people who didn't play Split Fiction, be like, hey, this is the shit we got on offer. So just stay tuned to what we end the next game with. If this is what we're starting with, just imagine what we end the game with. So yeah, maybe if you've built that tech, keep that shit around. You'll definitely benefit from using it again. Um yeah, so anywho, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, man. You want to put a stamp on that bad boy?
Yep, absolutely.
So I am like I think this is one of the greatest games ever made. I think that I don't think there's a moment except the one little platforming hiccup that we had in the jungle section where it was just
Oh
a that
God.
was a mistiming and that was a mistiming on my behalf not understanding that there was a mechanic that I could use to you know th- but at the end of the day I that was like 10 minutes of our time that was took kind of banging our head against the wall trying to figure something out and the other 14 hours of fucking pure excellence. You know what I mean? So I, the story I will say isn't incredible. Definitely not incredible. But there was that one moment, man, where I was like a little bit not teary-eyed, but I was like, damn, that fucking that's a deep sentiment. The whole idea about trying to write someone healthy so that you can see them that way, like that's a beautiful message. Overall, though, I agree. The story's not incredible. But I think this is a I have very, very few complaints for this thing, other than the story being not so stellar in that one little platforming section. This is definitely an S tier for me. If I was putting a number on it, this would be like a 96, 97 out of 100. Like, this is fucking fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah, mine would be S. I don't think it would be that high. If I'm being honest, when I get to the end of the year and you're thinking like your final six, right? Usually they're all like they have to be nines or above to make that like final thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you quite understand. Like I genuinely do despise like 3D platforming. So it's the thing of like it was a hell of it. That's also why I don't want to ever go through it again. It was a hell of an experience, but I never want to go through it again as well. You're saying what 96, 97? Did you say?
That's if I was like reviewing it for an outlet that gave actual, uh, here's the crazy thing. If I was reviewing it for an outlet where it was like just like 1 through 10, no decimals, this would be a 10 out of 10 for me.
So it'll be a 9 for me.
Would understandable.
So mine would probably fall in the 90. But this is the thing, like that shows you how damn good this thing is. Like I avoid when you look. We've got both of our lists available to go look at on my channel. I don't play platformers because they're just not my thing. If I'm playing a platformer, it has to be like a Metroidvania with RPG elements. So like Bloodstained and stuff like that. That is as close to a platformer as like I'll tolerate. So that just speaks volumes as to how good the
Yeah.
game is.
A 9 out of 10 for a genre that you despise.
Yep.
And we'll just be a little bit clear. I would say it's what, like a 50-50 split between action and platforming. Maybe 60-40 more towards
Yeah,
platforming.
60-40.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, shit, yeah, dude. Split Fiction. I mean, for me, it's my game of the year.
It is
And
not my
I
game with you. It's
oh, there's
overall.
something you've played.
I know. No, I'm just ripping the bat. It will not make it to the end. There is
Oh no,
no
I'm talking
there.
about right now.
Oh, right now, I don't want to answer that because it'll upset you.
Um, That's the you gotta fucking answer now.
Shadows, man. Shadows is above this for me. I'm. You're talking to a person who loves
I got you.
Eurojank, man. Do you really
I'm
think I
just
have
fucking
good
with you.
taste? Um, no, because yeah, it's just the thing of like the genres. It's like how some people like I will happily if I played Balatro last year, for instance, that probably would have been in the top two for me. That would have
Bro.
leapfrogged like some of the JRP. That would have been. Hmm, I was gonna say I don't know. I don't know if it would take Metaphor, but it would go head to head with it.
Right. Dude, fucking Dragon's Dogma 2 was my second favorite game of last year. It barely functioned in certain, like, there's certain sections where the game just stops working. Like it's yeah, it's Star Wars Outlaws. It was like they literally had to remake the entire game after the fucking version I played because there was certain shit that was so dog shit. Like, dude, people, yeah,
Starfield didn't even have a map because they it's too complicated to make. Wink, wink.
yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, everybody's got fucking everybody's got their preferences. And that's the thing about video games where it's such a difficult art form to judge objectively unless you're talking about technical performance. Like when it just comes down to preference, it is a
Yep,
hard art form to critically analyze.
yep.
All right. So now we are on to where do you want to go? Because we actually do have a little bit more crossover.
Let me
We got
look at
Monster
how
Hunter.
it's listed. We'll do WWE next because then we could because
Oh boy.
I didn't really play all that much Monster Hunter, so we can kind of sit
All
on it
right.
for a bit.
If we're gonna do WWE, I'm gonna pause one more time, take
Okay,
a piss,
cool.
and then we'll jump into WWE.
Well, there you go, guys. See you in a minute.
All right. So jumping in to you said WWE, right?
Yep.
All right, man. I'm looking at my notes for this game. I mean, I wrote a fucking novel. And is the audio okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was wondering why the hell his eyes looked the way they did. So what the fuck for the
oh, on
character?
the case. I got you. Um, So yeah, I took a lot of notes on this shit. I'm reading through them right now, and I'm gonna try to boil this down as simply as humanly possible, so that we're not here for 5 hours. All right,
Hold
WWE
on,
2K20.
Pause, pause. Sorry. Blood is automatically turned off in WWE games. Excuse me.
That's crazy, ain't it? Crazy.
What on earth? I'm sorry I had to butt in there, but I just saw you going through the menus and toggling that on. That's madness. Okay.
I will say one thing that really bums me out about the gameplay that you're watching is that this is probably the worst part of the entire story. And it's just early on, and that's we always try to capture early footage to show here that way we're not spoiling anything. This story fucking sucks early on, man, and I was starting to get pretty bummed out. And then it really hits like it gets in its stride about an hour and a half before it ends. And like there's huge branching decisions that you make, which is not all that common in wrestling games for the decisions to matter this much. Like your decisions really matter. And I obviously don't want to get into that. That way people can experience it for themselves. But like huge decisions you're going to make in this game that will drastically affect what you see. I played through it 3 times, played through the story mode 3 times, made different decisions each time, like complete opposite decisions each time to see how wide it would branch. It branches, man. You will see totally different things in this game depending on what you choose. You will unlock different arenas depending on what you choose. You will get into different fights backstage depending on what you choose. You'll see different places where you can fight backstage that you didn't know about depending on what you choose. Um, your character will form different factions. You will create different gimmicks for yourself. Like it really, really branches. Unfortunately, the story just fucking sucks. Like, it's cool that your decisions really, really matter. It'd be a whole lot cooler if it mattered in a story that you cared about. And the big problem here is they have a feature that they're introducing for the first time in, well, they're introducing it for the first time in years, but they're acting like it's the first time it's ever been done. So they're really highlighting it. And that's intergender wrestling. So they're really proud that you can be a dude and beat up a chick and be a chick and beat up a dude. And so they're making that like a key part of the story.
Equality, hell
I
yeah.
I hate to tell you, WWE, this has been in wrestling, or I hate to tell you, 2K, this has been in wrestling games for forever. It was removed like, I don't know, 10 years ago, less than that. And now they're bringing it back and touting it as it's some new feature. So the entire storyline is centered around intergender wrestling. And it's like, that's not a new thing. China was the Intercontinental Champion in the late 90s, early 2000s. And like, this is this has been around. I get it's novel and new. You're bringing it back, so it's a little bit fresh now. But like, this isn't. I would much rather play as a male. And thank God, I man, if I would have forgot this, I would have been bummed. So for 2K23 and 24, actually, I think 22, 23, and 24, but definitely 23 and 24, you could pick a male superstar and go into the story mode, and his story was specifically for him, like written completely different than if you picked the female superstar, and her story was completely different than the male.
Hmm.
So they had like you would literally, I mean, I'm talking 8 hour stories for two different characters. So you're talking about 16 hours of different story content that you had there. In this, you have about 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, and the male story and the female story is exactly the same. You just get to make decisions that, so if you pick the female character, her story is not a different setup from the start whatsoever than the male. But you get to make different decisions, and but you can make all the decisions as a male or all the decisions as a female, and you'll see the same outcome. So it's not different depending on who you choose. I think that's a bummer because it doesn't reflect the product. If in real wrestling Rhea Ripley was actually fighting Dominic Mysterio, and like that was some big storyline heading into WrestleMania and they were going to have a match, then okay, it can make some sense. But as of right now, like the women's champion or the number one contender for the women's champion is going to be going into WrestleMania to take on the champion, the women's champion. The number one contender for the men's belt is going to head into WrestleMania to take on the men's champion. So like I, I like having the two stories separate because it feels more authentic. And there's definitely a zany element to 2K25 where they're going way over the top. So I get it in certain aspects. It is fresh. It is new. I appreciate the decision making, but I think by focusing so much on the intergender aspect of it, it kind of hurts the story a little bit. And it also feels like because they're doing this new island mode where
Mm.
it's pretty much like NBA 2K, um, where in NBA 2K you can go walk around and oh, I'm going to jump into this game at the rec and I'm going to set up 5v5 and then I'm going to go to the park and jump into a 3v3. They're trying to set it up that way where you have all the microtransactions. You can go into the shops and spend a bunch of money, real money, not in-game money, a bunch of real money to buy clothing and different shit like that. So they're really trying to figure out a way to nickel and dime people. And I feel that this island mode is a big reason why you're only getting one career mode for the men and women. Like they're sharing one career mode opposed to 16 hours of varied content for, or 8 hours of varied content for each and 16 hours of content total. Um, And I'm not trying to be this number counter guy because, like, at the end of the day, I did play through the story 3 times. So I got 15 hours of content, even though I was skipping some shit just trying to see because I wanted to report back here to let you guys know if it actually does matter your decisions. And it does, which is cool. But I just don't think the story is that good. So that's a bummer. Cool moment at the end. Really, really, really cool moment at the end. And it also started making me think about how cool it would have been if it was co-op. I won't dive in any more than that, but yeah, it's the end is fantastic. The in-ring action is WWE 2K20, from the revamp of 22 into 25. They've just gotten better with each entry. They bring back chain wrestling to where can do some like you have the analog stick and you're trying to fill up a meter, and if you fill up the meter before the opponent, you'll get the advantage on offense and you'll kind of be able to go on the attack as the other person's reeling and trying to defend themselves. And the submission system I think is actually really well done now. I think they've made great improvements to that, where it's kind of like this cat and mouse thing where you're the red bar and you're trying to capture the blue bar, and if you stay like it's like rotating, and if you end up grabbing the blue bar and you're trying to predict their movement, and if you can pretty much stay on top of them, they'll tap out. Like even if you're really early in the match, you can just tap them out immediately. Obviously, as you do more damage to the limbs, like if you're really trying to attack the arm and you have an arm bar submission, the more that the arm is attacked, the more that you'll be able to actually pull off the submission and make them tap out. Um, yeah, the in-ring action is really, really solid. I do hope that I hope that they get to a point where, like back in the old SmackDown games, you can just be fighting, take it to the outside, go to the Titantron, and then from the Titantron be able to go backstage, and then from backstage be
Mm.
able to go to Times Square and like have all of this interconnected backstage action. It's more segmented now, where it's like if you want to go backstage, you're picking a backstage match specifically. It doesn't feel like something can dynamically evolve into becoming a backstage match where I would really like a Falls Count Anywhere match to be set up to where we can go anywhere around this thing. So I hope that they expand upon that. But the issue, my friend, is why are they going to do that whenever next year they're going to really try to hone in on this island thing to make more money after purchase? You're not making more money after purchase by trying to make the game better and more involved. You're making more money after purchase by trying to make the game uh more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like addictive and more glamorous in terms of the way you can dress your character and the looks you can have. And like, if your attention is focused on that, it's not going to be focused on actually making the product better. So that's
I mean,
that's my ramble.
it's good you didn't mention once that there's performance issues, which is something that they had real teething issues with like a few entries ago, to the point where they even skipped a year, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. Um,
Yep.
so it's good to see that they've got that like under wraps for the most part. It seems like, but like you said, the big worry. If I was in your shoes of being a fan, that island thing is
It's terrifying.
it's going to be very, very, very scary to see, like, well, why, like you said, with the thing of like improving the single player, when it's like, you know, if the people who are going to be buying the game for the single player, you're only getting that one initial purchase of. The reason NBA does so well now as a commercial success, and FIFA and all these other things, it's because it has an online component. They're constantly dinging you for dollar, 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 dollar. So, and it gives them less and less incentive and less reason to divert resources to them, because they're like, because they can just claim, because Football Manager did it this year when they skipped their release. Um, they were meant to release it last year around about November and stuff, and they were like, oh, we're running into issues, and then they were like, we're cutting this. And then when they had to make the next statement where they missed their next deadline, they're like, oh, we're cutting this. And it's just like, you're gutting the product because you claim that only a small percentage of people use it and stuff. But it's like, it's still a fan base. Like, there's still people that buy your game to play it. And that's the same with like you.
Exactly.
Um, the big worry would be how hard they hone in on this, and it's highly like they will hone in big time because this is 2K. They want to make money for one. For two, the WWE license isn't going to be cheap. That they have to do that every single
Right.
year and renew that. That's the reason why EA finally just said screw you to FIFA and we're not paying for the FIFA license anymore. You're asking for more and more of it each year because we're getting more and more money, which that's fair enough on their behalf. FIFA want money, but it's the same with like 2K. Are they going to get to the point where they don't want to give WWE because WWE aren't charitable? They're going to be every time they hear that this sold more copies year on year, they're going to want to squeeze. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's the worry for yearly licensed products for me is what I've noticed. They're very, very volatile now with how integrated the online monetization is. That's the make or break it. It doesn't exist back when, the WWE games aren't anything like how when I played them in like 2007. This doesn't look
Yeah.
anything like it to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy to think how much
It's it,
changed.
it's such a worry to me that island mode because I think that for full transparency, I really can't even speak to how bad the island mode is. Like I've watched video on it because I didn't even want to boot it up.
Mm.
I don't want them to have any sort of statistical fucking feedback that shows that my purchase even cared about it enough to boot it up. I want nothing to do with that. But I watched enough video on it to see, oh yeah, here are the shops, here's the repetition, here's the bullshit, here's the microtransactions. I saw enough of it to know I want no fucking part of it. I don't want to boot that up. I don't want to give them feedback that I want this to ever be in WWE 2K because it ruined NBA 2K for me. NBA 2K used to be a sick ass like Spike Lee directed one of the fucking stories in in NBA 2K. So like I used to love those NBA 2K modes, but yeah, I have zero interest in it now. But I understand that's what makes them so much fucking money. Um, so yeah, I ain't got to go too in depth on the rest of my thoughts on it. I know we've already been here for a long ass time, but I would put it in uh I would go B tier. Last year, I would have said that it would have been an A tier game. I do think you're starting to feel the slippage, but it hasn't quite slipped, if that makes sense. It's getting
Mm-hmm.
slippery, but we haven't fell yet. I'm starting to worry, but I'm not to the point where I think we're in any real danger of this becoming like a bad product right now. If that island mode takes off, yeah, this we're fucked. But I kind of think I know this is a weird thing, but I kind of think WWE's audience is a little bit older than the NBA 2K audience. And I know that sounds so bizarre, but I don't think that kids really give a shit about playing the games, the WWE games. I could be wrong, but I,
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
don't know. I
know.
feel
I
like
don't have any like interaction with. It's to me as well. It doesn't even feel big over here in the UK in general. Like it had a big presence in the early 2000s. I remember like a decent amount of people talked about it, but I don't know. It feels like it's waned. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But that's also then if it is primarily adults, please be sensible with your money.
that's
And just vote
exactly
with your wallet. It's very different. The reason that like you said NBA, if it is more centric of a younger audience there, with like Fortnite as well. It's the same thing of
right.
like them just being parents just throw money onto it to keep the kid quiet kind of thing. Like if they don't see significant return in comparison to NBA, they might even just give up on it.
That's my hope. Yeah,
But that
that's
is
my
probably
hope.
naive to think. But you can hope because if it was me and like and that was my series that I was like really into, and they've interjected that kind of thing into it because I hated what I saw of it. Because I remember
Yeah.
you being like hyped for it and looking forward to it. I can't remember what showcase it was that showed it, and my eyes just rolled. I was like, oh, because I
Wait, the
was
island?
yeah, the island mode thing.
Oh, I was never hyped for that shit.
No, I
I
know
said
you were
that's the
hyped for the
thing. Oh,
game,
okay.
and
Oh, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
heard you were hyped for it, and then when they showed the island thing, I was like, potentially going to check this game out this year. I was like, I heard you it's going like on the up and up, and then I saw that and I was like, oh god, no.
yeah.
So that's kind of roadblocked me out from having interest in it.
And the games are continually getting better and better, continually. But
That's the effect on
yeah,
for somebody who's been a previous fan and didn't like the way the direction went and lost interest, and then I when I finally look through the window and be like, oh, what's going on in here, and I look back and I see that and I'm like, oh hell no.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, yeah, it can continually get better and better, but if this thing is going to put a roadblock in that,
Hmm.
then yeah, it's just going to get worse and worse. So it's like I worry that we've hit the pinnacle of better and better, and now we're going to slowly start getting worse and worse. So we'll see. But B tier for now, a step back from last year. Last year was a game of the year contender for me. I think WWE 2K24 is probably the best wrestling game since Here Comes the Pain, in 2003 or whatever. Like it's
Damn.
yeah, one of the best wrestling game in over 20 years, I would say. This is a step back from that, but it's still one of the best wrestling games you could ever play. So, um, really, really solid thing. But B tier because, yeah, you definitely feel it lightening up a little bit in the ass. So hopefully that doesn't continue. Um, Loon,
I'll
we
I'll
still got
take
quite a
I'll,
fucking list here.
yeah, I'll take the brunt and do a solo game that has nothing to do with you. I can find it in this list. Here it is. Metal Gear Survive is what I'll go to. If I can tab to that, there we go. And I'm a bit confused. Is the video not playing?
Not working?
Oh, there we go. Right, that's all working just fine. Um, yeah, I had like an itch to play Metal Gear, and having basically played Phantom Pain to death, and I think when was the HD recollection thing, whatever it was that came out? It was
2023?
yeah, it was fairly recent. I was like, I don't want to play like something that old. I want like the feeling of Metal Gear, and I forgot that like Survive came out, and it was kind of heavily scrutinized at launch. It was the thing of with the split with Kojima that was very messy. People were very angry that that happened, and then that was what they put out as a product immediately, as a survival game. And what I will say, it's actually not that bad. Really, it's really not that bad. It's if you fall into the ballpark like I am, with I really really love the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5. Like it's up there as probably in the top 10 of like all-time gameplay of like what I enjoy the most. It's just more of that. It's actually got a fairly okay story that it's designing. It's basically an alternate event of in the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 5, you're basically leaving the oil tanker thing, and you're basically one of the guards that was left behind. And you get sucked up into this wormhole and into this alternate dimension and stuff. And it's you know, it's you can tell it's a hell of a lot lower budget. A lot of the cutscenes aren't normal cutscenes. They're just like flashcard kind of things where it's the character pops up and text and stuff. But it still does the actual in-game cutscenes is what you would expect from Metal Gear. But yeah, the game's fine. The ending kind of drag a little bit, and I was a little bit disappointed with the conclusion of it. But yeah, I had a decent amount of fun. It wasn't too long either. Like when you're just mainlining, I think I did it in like 10 episodes. I break everything up into like an hour, so it's about a 10-hour game.
Yeah, I remember it got shit on like relentlessly when it came out, but I think that that was just probably I never played it, so I can't speak to it, but I feel like a lot of that probably was just separation, sort of it was in that period where things just it wasn't a great time to necessarily be a Metal Gear Solid fan. I don't know if that would be the because it came out right after five, right?
It wasn't right after, because Metal Gear Solid 5 was 2015. This would have been 2018, 2019. Like, it was a good few
But there was still
years.
that resentment.
Yeah, no, the resentment was that, it was public, it was like a relationship breakup almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, people were very heavily siding with Kojima over Konami, not only because, it's the Metal Gear thing. I think a lot of people had resentment of, you've not done anything with Castlevania, you've not done anything with Silent Hill, and then you're basically screwing him over and pushing him out, or blah blah blah. It's just like, yeah, you can criticize him for that, but the actual game itself, if you're talking
Uh,
about like Konami, like they didn't do a bad job with it. Like, what people also seem to forget, and why I play devil's advocate all the time because I want to see the whole thing. Like, what people forget is that they had they were forced into basically ripping the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 5 off and selling
mhm.
it separately because his budget ballooned so much back then. It was just unsustainable. And it's the same with this. Like, a lot of this is reused assets because they have to make their money back. They're a business. Like, it's fine to have
Right.
your like favoritism towards him as a creator, but if he's not smart with his money, people are losing jobs.
Yeah.
People are running into debt. And like, as much as we love him, and with like Death Stranding, like it didn't sell gang. It wasn't like selling quickly enough to turn
No.
profit. I don't even know if it did turn a profit in the end. I think it's still in the red, if I'm not mistaken. And that just shows like how much sometimes you do need to be like reeled in as a creator and stuff, because he sat there and he in the state that Metal Gear Solid 5 even released, that it wasn't even a complete story. You never saw the actual conclusion of it. He wasn't done. He would have been developing that for another 10 years. Konami would have gone under if they would have continued funding that. Like, this is what
Yeah.
people also need to understand. But when you put that aside, the game's fine. Like, as a really cool, like, even co-op mode and stuff. Like, I'm really into tower defense and stuff, and survival, like wave-based things that have finality. Like, I can't play Call of Duty Zombies because it's like infinite basically in its original inception. So that's not for me. I need like do 20 waves and then you get out and stuff like that. And that's what this does, and it does it really well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was like a breath of fresh air almost, of just having
Well, I mean,
something really different.
those mechanics are fucking rock solid
Yeah.
from MGS5. It's like I hate to say it, but I almost kind of wish they would still do something with Metal Gear Solid going forward.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping with obviously the free remake, basically, because that's
Yeah.
so heavily drilled into being a survival game as well. So they really,
Right, right.
it's going to be using a lot of these assets and changing things. It just fits, and
Yeah.
yeah,
So where would you rank that bad boy?
man, that is a tough one. I'd probably go B.
B.
I'd go B. I also, what people also need to understand, if that like seems really strange, sometimes I just need something that's multiplayer centric that I can play on my own, like Exo Primal. I think
Hmm.
I can't remember when I did that, and I was speaking and throwing praise on it because I know a lot of people were cold on that on its launch and stuff. Sometimes I just need that kind of experience where it's like, because I do love, like the first and foremost is narrative for the most part, but sometimes I do just want to just do something a little bit more mindless and a little bit less risky, if that makes
Do
sense.
you, I totally get it. Do you want to rank a couple more of yours, and then I think you got like eight left, and I have five left, or if I'm not mistaken, I could be
Yeah, I'll
counting
go.
wrong.
I'll
But
keep it in the Japanese. It's been a very Japanese heavy month. Shadows, Metal Gear, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Tokyo. I enjoyed this game a good deal, man.
I absolutely adore this game.
Oh wow.
I absolutely adore this game. This is everything that I want from what Shinji Mikami does. It's just extremely creative, extremely immersive and stuff. Because I've said it time and time again. I played with Japanese audio, so it really did feel like you were in Shibuya. Everything just fit, and there's just you can feel as well, and the big difference between Western and Japanese developers. They have such love for their culture because at every given opportunity that they can, they almost use it as like a history lesson. Because everything that you're interacting in this game, the collectibles and stuff, it's like, oh, here's this, here's that, here is what a Torii gate is, here is what this is, here is what a Nekomata is, here's, and it's just like, man, I just love that like passion because it's so weird. Because you'd think that I don't know, even in like Kingdom Come, it doesn't feel like they're excited. Does that make sense? Like they show you the historical things of it, but they're not bouncing with excitement. It's like take it seriously. It's grounded in realism and stuff, and it's just like man,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
like loosen up a little bit, you know?
Not to go way off the rails, but I think that's something I liked a lot about Odyssey,
Mm,
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where it felt so almost lighthearted in a way where it's like, yeah, we're having fun with it. We're doing all sorts of crazy shit. And yeah, I feel you.
yeah, and that's where it's like at its best is when when it's remembering it's a game first and foremost, and that is what this game was. It was just crazy. It was just crazy from start to finish. Like the everything that you were doing, your combat is all weird hand gestures and stuff, and all tying that to the elements. All of the enemies are basically like yokai demons and stuff, and it's just yeah, it has like Silent Hill
Doctor
fog.
Strange.
Yeah, it has like Silent Hill fog that you're pushing back when you clear Torii gates and cleanse. Like it's just yeah, it's just an
The
absolute
story's pretty
blast.
good, dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and just I don't. What puzzles me is like the only complaint I have of it is it's a little bit blurry at times. Like the
Hmm.
visuals, I don't know if it's trying to do too much and it's suffering because of that, and they've had to like blur and put some filter on. That's that is it. That is my only complaint. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And what I said was I kind of felt the same way of like the how I feel about Tarantino. Like I'm sad. I've got one Tango game left. That's it.
Hmm.
I've done all their other games. I have nothing, and it's just like I'm yeah. It makes me sad to think that
Yeah.
I'm never gonna experience probably anything else that he's gonna do. I don't know if he's ever gonna make something else in these
Yeah.
kinds of veins because if he's put into another situation, it may change what he has to do. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I think he just formed a new studio recently, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully he can still create some new shit,
no,
man.
but that's what I mean is that you see
I
like
mean,
people
hey,
like Glenn Schofield and stuff like when they get put into new environments and it's just like this it's
totally.
different, and that's kind of like my worry of just like I hope that if he does land on his feet, which he seems to have done, he can still just be batshit like insane with everything that he does.
Yeah. I hope the creativity just remains, man. Yeah, absolutely. Ghostwire Tokyo had such a distinct flavor to it, such a distinct
Mm.
vibe, art style, all that. So, where would you rank it?
Mm. S2.
S. Ooh, baby. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I loved the end of that story. You finished it, right?
Yeah, finished the whole
Yeah, I
thing.
loved
The
how
playthrough's all been recorded. It's just not gone live because Shadows got in the way.
nice. I thought that ending was spectacular, man.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Um,
They just know how to make emotional, hard hitting stories as well. Because I think Japanese as a language is a very emotional language. They usually exert a lot of emotion when they speak, and I think when they do something that when they write a story that really hits in the feels, you do really feel it.
I wanna hear you talk about Tomb Raider.
I fucking don't. Oh boy.
Uh, if
Um,
you're down to chat about some Tomb Raider, because then I think we'd be lined up with
I won't lie. It's gonna be hella brief because
oh yeah, no, I'm gonna rattle through a bunch of
I
mine
do
as
not
well.
have much positivity to talk about it. So I'll quickly tab this. Right, Tomb Raider, original Tomb Raider, re-released with Aspire. I'm always down to like give classic games a go, because it's like see, you love the industry so much, see where its roots came from. You loved the remake, not the remakes, the
Reboot.
reboot trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. Absolutely adore it. Holy shit! How did people play this back in the day? Like the what's the word I'm looking for here? The stereotypical thing of like old games are hard. Yeah, yeah. Oh my, and I can't like I'll happily like if I was recording this right, this could have probably boosted the channel to go viral. You know the Cuphead video where the guy can't make the jump. I'm not lying. I sat in that opening. She just I don't know what it is. She just would not jump. You hold that, and she just wouldn't clip onto it, and it was driving me insane. And I sat, and the thing is, right, is that to a certain degree, I will be like, okay, let's use it error. I'm doing something wrong. I'll try again. Oh, let's use it. I did that for 3 hours. I spent 3 hours of
Oh
my
my God.
life dedicated because I was like, it's an iconic series. I want to like no, fuck this game, man. This game is ass. This a little a little bit less zest. The it's something where it's like I appreciate it for what it is. It is a product of its time, much like how I view in the lens of like the original RE games. I cannot
Totally.
play this in the same way that I cannot play original RE. I need this to be remade properly. And I think, am I not mistaken? The 360 games basically remade it, did they not? Not a one to one, but I think like
Uh,
Anniversary or Legend, one of them was like a basically a basically a
yeah, not
remake.
one-to-one
Yeah.
remakes. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the closest we're gonna get is the reboot trilogy that happened with, Crystal Dynamics and Square. But I think they're kind of going back to the roots with the new Amazon game from the artwork that's been leaked and shit, where she's dressed like that and has the green tank top and the beige sort of fucking cargo shorts or whatever. So I don't know, maybe your wish is the world's command.
Well,
I
I
don't
do
know.
not wish to ever play that original Inception again. But the thing is that this is going to sound stupid. I will purchase the was it 4 to 6
hmm
remasters
No.
just to have. That's just the inner collection like person in me. Like I want to see it on the shelf. I want to like represent like its importance. But yeah, if they play like the first one, I can't, man. I really just in the way that you felt so passionately about like Assassin's Creed Shadows wasting your time. Uh,
I'm assuming you're dropping that in the D or below.
no, no, it can go in the B to C. Didn't finish for
Okay.
the sheer factor of you are clinging on for your impact in the industry. For me
No.
personally, like I just don't enjoy it. But it's the thing of like if I was born 5 years before, maybe that would be something that I would be like, man, they don't make them like they used to, kind of thing. But yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
No. It's hard to go back to older games, man. It just is. people are gonna maybe get mad at this, but games have just continuously gotten better.
Hmm.
Like game design wise and philosophy of design and understanding mechanics and like yeah, sure I missed some of the weird intricate fucking okay, we're gonna try to use the thumbstick as attack buttons now. It's like yeah, I kind of actually do miss weird shit like that, but you know, it's the it's a little bit more formulaic now, and I'll agree with that. But overall, games are just continuously getting better, so it makes it harder to go back. Um,
It's just
all
the
right.
thing that, sorry to just like stay on it. I would have tolerated it if I felt like I wasn't being punished for doing the right thing, if that makes sense. I felt like I was doing the right thing each time.
Hmm.
And when I went and looked up videos, it got to that point. I was like, clearly, I'm just a complete and utter dumbass. And I'm do it, and I went and watched the videos, and the step by step thing was telling me to, and I was like, I'm doing that. I don't get it. What do you
Yeah.
want me to do? So yeah, yeah, I don't want gaming to ever go back to that. Thank you, please.
So yeah, my calculations are way the fuck off. You got 8 games left, and I think I have one, two, three. I have five. So if you want to
That's
hit
fine. I can
a
rattle
couple
some
more of
more
yours,
off quickly. There'll be quick ones as well because these are also things I didn't finish. So
okay.
Achilles Legends Untold is a game that I jumped into. I can't remember. It would have been when we just started like making videos, maybe like properly, like consistently is what I mean. And
Yeah.
doing like the monthly rankings. I tried it out then, and it wasn't bad, and it wasn't like broke or anything. I just fell off of it. Made it a little bit further, and it's so creative in what it does. It's basically a Diablo Souls like, and I'm all for it. It's so incredibly like interesting, and it has. I'm assuming it's going to be like a two ending kind of thing because every single time you defeat a character of significance from Greek mythology and history, you're given the option to kill or spare them. So there's that. Um, but I don't know. I'm like 5 or so hours in. I don't know how long the game is, but I'm enjoying it for what it is. It's really fun. Have you tried it at any point? Because I know
Uh-uh.
it's been one of them things where like it felt like it flew under the radar for a lot of people.
That's what I was about to say. I've never even heard of this thing.
Yeah, can't remember when it released, um, but I think it was around about like a year and a bit ago. So it's not.
Oh, okay. So it's relatively new.
It's relatively new.
Jesus.
So I will put it in didn't finish B2C,
Okay.
and I'll put it behind shadows.
Perfect. Um, yeah, I'll let you take away a couple more if you want to hit like two more back to back, and then that'll line us up.
Yeah, I'll do the two Warhammer games because I didn't play much of them either.
All right.
Right, and I'll just let this run. Right, beginning with Space Hulk Enhanced Edition, I think is what it was called. Um, it's been a game that's been out for a few years, but it also got a PlayStation release, and this is what kind of it fell in that time of like a little bit of like bitter resentment that PlayStation got like titles like this, but they always skipped Xbox. And what it is it's basically like Left 4 Dead, but in the Warhammer universe. So it's a lot more slower paced, but it's like a horde based, kind of horror esque. You're exploring these derelict, rundown ships with basically xenomorphs would be the best way of like explaining it to those who aren't familiar with Warhammer. And you're just basically being
Nice.
stalked and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been playing it on PC as it never released on Xbox, but thankfully it released on the Xbox Store for PC. So I am getting achievements for it, but I haven't played it in a few weeks. It'll be something I'd dive back into. But for how old the game is as well, like a fair few years old, like playing it on the highest settings, like the game is stunning, really, really stunning. So yeah, really bummed that it didn't ever make its way to Xbox. It's really sad.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fucking. I mean, I guess it happens quite a bit, but it's always a bummer.
yeah, and because what I'll do is I'll wait for this to roll over to Battlefleet, and then I'll rank them both together. Because the other game I played was Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, and that's basically it's based off of the tabletop, and it's entirely space combat. So do you know how I just explained with the Space Hulk, you're in them derelict ships? Basically, in Battlefleet, you're piloting them ships from like an RTS perspective.
Mm. Oh,
It's
nice.
entirely like strategy based and stuff. It has some of what blew me away is that you have this opening mission and it's fairly involved, and you basically it's a lose you're supposed to lose scenario. You basically get your ass kicked. But I don't think I've seen it all that much in strategy games. It rips you into like a really close cinematic perspective of you like charging with your ship through space and basically going head to head with it, and it's like almost a cinematic cutscene. It looks that like incredible,
Damn.
and it's like pulling you through. It's all in like in game because you're able to like still pilot the ship ever so slightly, move the camera around and everything. And it's just like, damn,
Nice.
like you went really hard on this. You didn't need to do that. You could have just like been like, oh, you're lost, mission over, kind of thing, and just blew the ship.
Yeah.
But they went really, really hard on it. You could tell that they're fans of the series. The only thing that kind of gave me a gripe for Battlefleet Gothic, there's a female voice actor. I can't remember who she plays. I don't think they like proofread her lines. She does
Mm.
not pronounce how things are meant to be. So like when you hear it, you're like, oh, why'd you say it like that? That hurts my
Oh.
soul. So there's that. But yeah, both of these are very, very, very early into playthroughs. I only did the first mission in Space Hulk, and then with Battlefield Gothic, it was about, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 hours one night. So these are both going to be in the don't didn't finish. Um,
B through C or
Gothic will be B through C. Deathwing is actually a A tier game from what I've played. Like
nice.
this is really, really well made, and I'm really, like I said, bummed that it never made its way to Xbox because I think that could have been something that I sunk like probably like a few hundred hours into, getting really good into like
Nice.
the multiplayer aspect of it.
So I think we're all lined up at five apiece now. It's hard to kind of do this math here. I'm using the little
1, 2, 3,
tier maker app on the
4,
phone.
5. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 5. And we have Monster
Perfect.
Hunter that we both have. So do you want to knock that out?
I'm gonna go ahead and get Cabernet out the way real quick
Okay.
because I don't have really anything to say about it other than I was able to finally play through it and finish it. Although I played through it, finished it, wanted to reload a save to go through it and choose some different endings, and the other ending that I wanted to go and get completely bugged out on me. And so I guess for anybody who's unaware, if they didn't check in last time, I ranked it in the S tier last time because I thought the game was absolutely stunning. Just an amazing vampire RPG kind of adventure game. And making a bunch of choices, stat based, cool shit like that. And I was just in love with it. I played like, I don't know, 10 hours the last time I came in here talking about it. And then after I fucking came in here and ranted and raved about it, the game just totally broke on me. Wasn't able to progress, couldn't do multiple side quests, couldn't finish the game. Then they finally updated it. I was able to finish the game, but there are certain endings that I couldn't go and get. There were still some side quests that were totally bugged out. So, regardless, the game is phenomenal. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal video game, but it's broken. It's kind of the thing, when we talked about Cyberpunk back in the day, where, yeah, the game came out 2020. It was a phenomenal game. You could tell it was phenomenal. There was a phenomenal game somewhere in there, but it was fucking broken. And it's the same thing here. But thankfully, they are patching it up And so hopefully at some point, I haven't deleted it from my console. That's like one of the only games that I'm just going to keep on my console to go back to try new things, to try different side quests, to try to get the ending that I want to get. And yeah, so I'll drop it in the B tier.
Okay.
It's one that if it was polished, this would be right there with Split Fiction for my game of the year. And I think even though it's so unpolished that I'm having to drop it from S last time to B this time, I still think I understand it's a B tier game, but my heart still feels like it's S or A tier. But it's a B tier game. You can't, sure you can finish it, but there's a lot of content that the last time I checked was still busted in my playthrough, and I can't reward that with fucking, I can't keep it at S tier whenever there's literally content that's unplayable at this point. So B tier for me, but it's easily going to be a game that I keep checking on, going back to playing more of, and I do think it'll be pretty high whenever it's all said and done, and whenever it's all polished up. I do think it'll be really, really high in my game of the year ranking at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's fine. It's the thing of like, with it being an indie game, you can see that they probably bit off a little bit more than they could chew. There's a lot of ambition for what they were
Yes,
trying to do. Because I can see it even in the clips that you
way too
showed,
ambitious.
and it's just like, man, especially for a 2D game, what you're trying to do with all this stuff, like, credit,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I mean you're able to fly with your bat, drink people's blood, pick whose blood you drink, pick who you spare, stats progression. Like it's way too much for that small of a team probably. But I appreciate the ambition. Like you said, you want to dive into Monster Hunter next, and then we'll wrap up because I have nothing to say about the other games in my list really at all.
Oh, do you know?
No, pretty much the other games are like super super quick playthroughs.
Okay.
The other than Centum, I didn't finish Centum, but that's actually a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, we can do Monster Hunter Wilds. Did you? How far in did you get?
So I made it about halfway through the main story, and then I got to a quest. I actually wrote the quest down so I wouldn't forget it. Um, it is called, or the description says search for the Black Flame. And I got to that quest, had no idea where the fuck to go, and I was like, yep, I'm good. Don't really want to play another game where I'm going around swinging a sword in an open world anyway. So I was just, once again, like we talked about with Shadows, I'm just so, so, so burnt out on running around with a sword and swinging it in fucking bland ass open worlds. But some cool environmental interaction with this shit. I really, really dug that. Just being able to topple down rocks on top of monsters and set traps and like that shit was actually pretty cool. I wish there was a little bit more of that and a little bit less of, you know, a lot of that other shit.
Yeah, I thought you'd end up probably drawing to them conclusions. Because I remember you saying that you didn't think it had as good combat as Dragon's Dogma 2, right?
Oh God, no. That's kind of how I felt after, not to jump back in, but like I was like, dude, if I want to play something like this, I'll just play Dragon's Dogma 2. Much more dynamic, much more interesting, much more interactable, like more strategy. Just I don't know. Like Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm setting up and I'm observing these animals' movement, these enemies' movement, and like, I can go and yeah, I don't know. It just felt like there was way more going on with Dragon's Dogma 2. It's like I would get into fights and just hack things to death. I was like, this maybe I wasn't doing it the right way, but I was like, this is kind of fucking boring.
It is kind of crazy when you end up coming to like the complete opposite like conclusion with a thing because it's just like, man, you like I'm strategizing like real heavy when playing like Monster Hunter, um, making sure to like test all these different weapons out and learn the different move sets and stuff. And that's kind of like why I didn't make all that much progress. I think I tried out like four different weapons from basically that first camp. I was just going out and doing like repeatable hunts and stuff and being like, I want to feel like how do these new weapons feel with the new because it has a you must have used the like free aim kind of thing as like a reticle.
Yeah.
Were you able to figure that wasn't in Monster Hunter World?
Oh, really?
So that was like a really cool addition because you're able to pinpoint when you're actually smacking the monster and say you like crack the horn, it becomes like a weak point and you're able to really focus on that, whereas you used to have to like free aim it a lot of the time, and it was a lot harder. Like the game's gotten a decent amount easier from what I've played compared to World. I don't know if that's because I played so much of World and it's kind of just like you got used to it.
Way
So coming
easier
back,
than Dragon's Dogma 2, for
yeah.
sure.
Um, but the thing I do have a complaint about is just it's weird how I don't know if you felt this way. It's just weird to like pushing so heavily a narrative that's so. You were talking about Shadows like narrative being whatever the hell they're trying to tell here. Just I don't know who cares. I couldn't envision anybody caring about like some kid going to a land and then you're telling that it's uninhabited and it's not because they did this same. It's very overdone kind of thing. You did the same thing in like Worlds basically. I don't know. It's just I'm not interested in the narrative that they're trying to tell, and it's just
The
all
one thing
down
I,
to the monster hunts. Ironically,
the one thing, I, yeah, the one thing I will say though is like at least they present it well. That's the presentation with the cutscenes is fantastic. The
Mhm.
writing is dog shit, but the presentation is really good. I totally agree. The writing is not good. The story's not. It did nothing to compel me forward to say I got to see this. To the I think it started up real cool. Where it's like this big action chase scene and fucking
Oh yeah, like
the
yeah, yeah. What you can do as the
yeah.
player is always like amazing. I was talking about like back at camp when they're trying to talk to you and bring like the story down. It's just like why are we wasting time? Like let me go out and like bonk something with a massive hammer. That's what I'm here for,
Yeah.
man. Like what the hell are you doing? But
But I think
the mount though to tie that in with like the very opening of the game, that's integral to the rest of the game as well. And giving you a mount to explore these big environments is really cool.
yeah, and I like the idea of like you press up or whatever, and it just kind of takes you directly to where you need to go to fight the monster because I guess they don't really have like their world isn't designed well enough to really have great interactivity with the world. Like I don't think you're necessarily able to climb a bunch of shit, and I really I could be speaking out of my ass, but it felt like they knew that their world was there was limitations with what the player could do when interacting with their world, so they kind of would guide you directly to the monsters. Um, but I mean, I appreciate
Um,
that it understands what the players want to do. They just want to go and hit monsters in the head. But
yeah, it does seem a lot more streamlined to get you to the point. I think there is a decent amount of interactability with the world. There's climbing and stuff and verticality, but that's I obviously, like I said, I did the same basic quest like 3 4 times. So it's fairly
wait,
early on. And sorry,
can your player climb?
you can climb up like vines and stuff. You could do that in World and Rise and stuff.
Oh shit, well, I'm speaking out of my ass then.
Um, because that's how like when I can't remember what it was that I was. Don't remember the monster, but it basically went back to its lair, and you had like a. You could either just chase inside of it, or you could go above it and like basically drop on its head and stuff.
Oh, that's actually sick as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. And then you have there aren't a ton of these, but you do have when you're chasing after things. You have the pillars because you have it in the opening section. You do have them fulgurite pillars that you're able to ping with your what do you call it, like your slingshot, and like have it land on the monster while it's running away and stuff
I
like that.
love all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Any
I think there is a decent amount of environmental like interactability and stuff like that.
Yeah, anytime I saw that when I was in a fight, I was just immediately fucking, I didn't care what, I was just running immediately to that to see what could happen. I love environmental hazards in games. It's so fun to fuck with the world and see the physics and the destructibility and like, it made me miss mercenaries.
Yeah, that's fair. But because I probably can draw the conclusion as to like it's probably not very high for you.
I
Um,
mean, it's a fine made game. It's like getting in combat and just, pressing buttons. Like it's not,
but it's not going to be
it's,
something that you'll finish. That is what I
oh,
mean. It's the type of thing where it's like it's very deliberately designed in a way for like you're you're there for the loop more so
Mhm.
than the actual getting to the end conclusion, as it were. You're there for the actual fight, doing the fight again, 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 getting more and more, say, tails, scales, so that you can further your armor and stuff. Because that was the big thing of like why I enjoyed World and stuff. Like just constantly gaining materials and getting like different weapons and stuff and seeing like what the hell, like, okay, what does this do? What does that do? And stuff.
Yeah, I remember you saying to me that this is like a multiplayer predominant, like that is really where you're going to get the most enjoyment out of it. And when I was playing, I was like, oh my God, I could totally see that because I could see it just a game that you throw on and you press buttons while talking to a buddy, and that's kind of
Yep.
the whole deal. It's like just
You
something
play your
to
own
do with
roles
your
and stuff.
hands.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
then what do you call it? There's so many different weapon types that counter certain specific monsters and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it's something that I want to throw their way. I don't think they did this in World, but you have your mount now, and you're able to. There's a holster on the mount to give you a second weapon,
Yep.
which is a really cool addition. Because there was nothing worse than getting into like a fight in World and be like, "Wow, I'm like really ineffective against this thing because I'm so slow." For instance, so it's always good to have like a polar opposite weapon on your mount at all times to be like, okay, if this thing is like really fast, I'm not going to be able to use like a slow ass greatsword on it because I'm not going to land hits.
Well, it's cool too that like if there's a flying enemy or whatever, you go and pull out your projectile, your
Yeah,
gun or whatever, you don't have to like you're not sitting there just waiting for the thing to land back so you can slash it to death again. And I actually started finding more enjoyment in switching to the different guns, like the Gatling gun thing and shit, where I'm like just shooting these monsters opposed to trying to go and hack and slash them to death. Where I don't know, it felt like there was just a little bit more I don't know. Like I just felt like it was a little bit more involved when I was shooting them opposed to hacking and slashing. I don't know if it was because I played with the dual daggers or whatever, but it felt like the game was kind of playing itself. Like I had my special attack, and if I did my special attack, it would just zipping up and down the monsters. Like I don't feel like I'm doing anything. And then when I'm actually attacking, it's I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really connect with this at all, but I think it could be like you said. Just I should have probably played it multiplayer and just did it the whole way that time. Just talk to somebody, have something else to do so you're not really like trying to really zone in and focus in on the fights because I don't know if that's really where you're going to get the most enjoyment out of the game.
so that was both of us giving this game a go. So did
Yeah.
you want to rate yours first, and then I'll put mine?
Yeah, I'll go C tier. I would definitely go well below Shadows. I would go yeah, I'll go C tier below Shadows. The didn't finish B C tier below Shadows.
Let me rearrange this. So these are your two titles. For those that are wondering, they're
Mhm.
both Brandon's, and these are my three in that too. Um, I'm going A, man. This is didn't finish A. This is really good. It's kind of rough performance wise at times. I did feel like there were a decent amount of frame drops from here and there, but it's kind of like I don't know. There's a hell of a lot of ambition here. It's the kind of thing of like with why I didn't ding it out hard for Dragon's Dogma 2 either. It's like I can see, like I respect what Capcom are trying to do, and I is the RE engine maybe just keep it for RE. Hint hint,
Right.
nudge nudge.
Totally.
Like I get that you're trying to stretch it and get your money's worth and stuff like that, but it's like I don't know. I think I think they could probably move engines with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good looking game, but there are some really cool moments of like weather effects and thunderstorms, lightning striking in the background, the fucking uh the what's the fucking shit? The sand when people are sinking in sand. What's that called?
Quicksand.
quicksand where the monsters are like falling in the quicksand and like you're getting sucked down in there and like trying to fucking gain composure, jump out of it. Like there's just cool, sand flying off. Like there's some cool shit that happens in terms of
Yeah.
these you know
Environmental encounters.
yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that, even though, yeah, I agree. The game doesn't look all that great. It definitely has some technical hiccups and shit like that. So not a bad game, just a game.
Right. So that leaves you with three and me with four. So if you wanted,
All
I
right.
could rattle off like Tropico real quick because it's I didn't even get like gameplay of it.
All right. Yeah, no worries.
Um, so Tropico 4 kind of needed. I can't remember what it was that I finished. It probably was Ghostwire. I think. I think I wrapped up Ghostwire and oh, that's what it was. It was Civ launched. When was Civ came out? It was like a
Late
few weeks ago, right?
something like that.
And I'd kind of like forgotten about it and ignored it after hearing like immediate reviews being like, it's very rough, and it's just like, yeah, that's about as much as I expected. I think last Civ launched in a really really rough state as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's like I'll wait for that, but I was like, I could kind of go for like a strategy esque game like that, building something. And I was looking through like different things, and I was like, ooh, Tropico. Have you ever played a Tropico game?
Uh-uh.
Have you ever played like City Skylines or like a actual city builder kind of thing, or Sim City?
SimCity, yeah, that's the only one.
So it's like that, but it has like a pretty good sense of humor because you are just a dictator and you have all these people constantly, and it's all just like over the top. Like every like I don't know if the most recent games are still doing this, but it is kind of like it borders on like I don't know, it's a bit stereotypical racism
Oh
almost. Like
wow.
you're talking like big buck teeth, like Asian people being present, and it's just like, damn, you guys are like laying that on thick. So
How old
it's
is the game?
so Tropico 4 would have been because Tropico 3 was on 360, so was Tropico 4, so a
Golly.
mid-gen like 360 game.
I guess
Um,
that was still kind of we were definitely in the era of all racism is funny racism at
but
that point.
yeah, it's not like egregious to the point where it's like, oh, that's
Right.
like in the way. It's just like, wow, I don't know if that would fly today. Like with how people are
Right.
so like knee jerk reaction over everything. But yeah, it's actually kind of it's weird because I was really really good at Tropico 5 and I hadn't played the older Tropicos, and I came back to this and I was getting my ass kicked in like the opening like two missions of like the campaign. I was like, my god, like how do you make money in this game? This doesn't make any sense. Like I'm going bankrupt constantly. And it's just weird that it has like really quirky, weird of its own set rules, but it's a really fun city builder. I haven't finished it yet. It has 20 campaign missions, and I'm on 15.
Oh
And they
yeah,
take
so you're
about
right
an
there.
hour and a half each to do. Like it's a long game. So didn't finish B to C for me, and I would probably put it above Achilles and just behind Gothic.
Nice. Well, dude, I'll actually, you know what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna rattle off my three back to back that I have left because I really don't have much to say about any of these games. They're real short, kind of nothing burger experiences. I should say nothing burger experiences. One of them's actually pretty cool.
Did you want to?
Uh,
Could you start with the Phantom, then go to Centum, then go to the Cart because I've got
yes,
them.
sir.
Cool, and then I can just play.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So Phantom is like a old school, think SNES style beat 'em up game. Um, it's actually, I think it's based on a cartoon or based on a comic book that I had no familiarity with whatsoever, but I've been doing the thing and I've talked about it in the past rankings, so forgive me for the repetition here, but I'm just going to the PlayStation Store and just buying indie games each month, just checking them out, seeing if anything's like that's how I found Cabernet, which was fantastic. But then, of course, you're going to find some less than fantastic games. And that's where the Phantom comes into play. Uh, the game just crashes it crashed on me. You'll I don't know if you'll see it in because I don't plan on talking about it a ton, but if I think it's like towards somewhere around the end of that gameplay clip where I've beat everybody in the level and I'm just trying to walk forward to the next section and I absolutely cannot walk forward. Like nothing is happening. There'll be times where I do a jump kick and my character just fucking is levitating in the air while people are hitting him, and then enough people will hit him, and then he bounces back down, and it's like, okay, well now I'm ready to go. After I was just stuck levitating in the air, that's the thing that's a bummer. It's not a hard game at all, but there's enough technical issues that make the game pretty punishing. Like I had to reload the final level 4 times
Mm.
to finish it, just because I would beat the shit out of the boss, and then he just wouldn't show back up for like the final phase. And so what I ended up having to do at the end of the game was stand directly in the middle of the screen because anytime I would go to the edge of the screen, the boss wouldn't appear for his final form. So I stood directly in the middle of the screen and I'm just trying my best to like spam attacks to not, to not fucking die because I can't move. I have no real range of movement that I can use because if I move, the boss isn't going to appear. So but thankfully, there are kind of spam attacks you can do where you're not gonna fucking get hit or anything. Um, and so yeah, I ended up finishing the game. I think it's got a cool art style.
How long was the game?
Oh, 2.5 hours,
Oh, okay, that's
something
not too
like
bad.
that.
Because what I was gonna say is like your that kind of tolerance I don't usually exhibit of like if I enter in it like something just doesn't work. Because the last time that's happened to me in that vein, other than Avowed, um, which is it's a little bit different, is Baldur's Gate for the enhanced editions when they did the re-release. When I
Yeah,
was playing through Baldur's Gate 2, it was just the most unlucky set of unfortunate events of certain choices I did led me to having one character spawn in a map that if I entered it from one side, it would just hard crash the game. And I had like no idea like how the hell like I was like, why does this keep crashing? Like it's been flawless. Like I played the whole first game, all like the DLCs and stuff, and I'm 3/4 of the way through the second game, and it's just I had to look it up, and it was like two other people in the world had that as like an experience. And it was like, oh yeah, so what
Jesus.
it was you chose this decision that got you to this, that got you to this, that spawned this here, and then that just yeah, you can't go to that part of town ever again in the campaign. It will crash, and it's just like, what what are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, there's no way I would have that with it being a 2 hour game or whatever. I was like, sure, whatever. I'll try to
Mm,
fucking power through this. But yeah, I that is brutal in longer games. Like with Avowed, the issue you had with Avowed, I would have been irate, dude. Um, but yeah, the thing about it, like as you're seeing the game here, the art style is strong. Like it looks kind of cool. I actually have a fondness for 2D beat 'em ups, old school beat 'em ups, 3D beat 'em ups like the Yakuza games. I just like beat 'em ups in general. I like going around and beating the shit out of characters. It's fun. Um, and there's cool shit where you can like send out your wolves and do special attack. There's cool things about this game, but unfortunately, it's going in the D tier. So
yeah, I won't lie. It's visually impressive, but
yeah,
considering 90% of them clips are you walking basically at an invisible wall because it just
yeah,
won't progress, that's tragic. So you said D, yeah?
it's rough. Yeah, D
Cool.
for sure. D, do not play. I mean, unless you,
Do not,
you
under
know.
any circumstances, play the Phantom.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll polish it up, and if you're just an absolute fanatic for 2D beat 'em ups, sure. But there's a lot of the indie space is flooded with 2D beat 'em ups. You can find some better
Yep,
offerings. Centum, is that the next one you wanted me to go on
I
to?
believe so.
All right. So this is, we had that talk about pretentious games and how I kind of often find them to be pretty annoying. This actually is an example of a pretentious game that I think has a lot of merit and a lot of substance and is being intentionally vague to actually make you think. And that is something that I often don't find it with pretentious games, where to me it feels like the vagueness is typically because they don't really have much to say. And it's like, okay,
Mm.
I'm going to present this story or I'm going to present this lack of a story to make you fill in the gaps because we actually don't have shit to tell you. This, I don't think, is that at all. This is being intentionally vague because the isolation, the lack of companionship, the lack of interaction is kind of the entire point of the game. I won't go too much into it, but you start off in a prison cell or some cell of some sort, and it's up to you to figure out how the fuck to get out of there, why the fuck you're in there. And through doing that, you start fucking hallucinating. And you're not sure, is this a simulation? Is this all real? Um, but it makes you think about a lot of shit. You know what I mean? A lot of people are sitting in prison cells, isolated completely, and this character is unsure of what they did or they don't believe that they belong there. And like there's some shit there to really ponder on without having to say much. You know what I mean? And I think that it does a good job of the longer you spend in that cell isolated, the more fucking the more you begin to hallucinate and see things that might not be there. And it's a weird thing where after I got out of the cell, I just lost interest in playing the game. Where I was like, oh wait,
Damn.
yeah. I was like, I thought you were really on to something, and they might really still have been on to something. But after I got out of the cell, it became a point and click game, which it was always a point and click adventure game. But when I got out of the cell, I was like, oh, now I'm just going around and doing point and click adventuring that I've done many, many times before, and I'm not really feeling the investment to keep going. Whereas when I was in the cell, I was like, fuck, man, this is dark. Like I was hoping that there, and there might still be, once again, I may have jumped off of it too early. I put about 3 hours into it, something like that. But I, after I got out of the cell, I was like, oh damn, I really was hoping that there was going to be some deeper story specifically regarding that section. Um, but yeah, it kind of reminded me of Indica in a
Mm.
way where it is very outlandish to the point of absurdity at times, and it's a nice bit of levity to remove you from the very harshness of what it's trying to tell you at first, what it's trying to present to you at first, because it does get into some really, really dark shit. But then it's like, okay, well, here, go play a racing game on your computer, or you know, your a game where you're driving a car or some shit. But yeah, it's interesting, but not interesting enough for me to finish. So I'm gonna put it. I'll put it in that B to C though. Didn't finish B to C. I'll put it above Assassin's Creed Shadows and above Monster Hunter Wilds for sure. It's one that I would definitely recommend for people who like who really want to who really want to think about some shit. You know what I mean? Not like the at least for that opening segment, I can say that opening segment really makes you fucking think. I don't know from beyond that, but that opening segment, that was actually pretty fucking powerful. Like it really got my brain kind of spinning and you know, it was pretty powerful. Not to I don't want to go too much into it, but so okay, so anywho, I heard a story right before playing this game about a guy who was serving a fucking life sentence in prison
Hmm.
for selling weed. For selling fucking weed, a life sentence in prison. And I it was like once again, time and place. I heard about that right before playing this game. And it was just like, how the fuck did that line up like this? So once again, in a different circumstance where that's not fresh on my mind while playing this thing, I probably wouldn't have been thinking about it so and it hitting so hard. But I was like, God, isolated in this fucking cell for potentially, hopefully it won't actually be life. And but it's just like for selling fucking weed, something that's legal in countless other states across the country. It's like, oh boy. Yeah. And just thinking about the weight even if you do get out after sitting there for 15 fucking years, like the amount of that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life sitting in that cell
Yeah.
isolated and But anywho, powerful game, and that I maybe in my specific instance of having that fresh in my mind, maybe it was a little bit more powerful for that very specific situation. So it might not hit as hard for other people. It might end up being the thing that I talk about for a lot of people, where it's like, this feels like pretentious, vague horseshit. But for me, it actually was pretentious, but also impactful, which is kind of rare for pretentious shit.
How much of that do you think is like hopeful intention, though? That when you're telling a pretentious story in that manner, for instance, and then hoping that you're not trying to capture it for everybody, it's trying to capture it for those that would be able to relate. Is that not like
Good fucking
equally?
point.
Is that not equally like? Because you think of what drew my mind to that is the opening to The Last of Us. If you're not a parent, it will not hit you in the same. It you will feel pain, sorrow, and sadness. But if you're like a parent, that hits you on a whole different level. Because if you're not a parent and you never have been, you're not going to be able to feel what he feels. You don't relate one to one what that is.
Totally.
Um,
Well, round of applause, dude, because very fucking well said. That opening sentiment, the opening question that you posed, like that is something that my narcissistic ass never thought about. What other people might be able to relate to.
yeah, have that guy in the prison cell play. See how he feels.
Right. No, yeah, it is all that vague storytelling. Like I can imagine like Poison Ivy if she was playing Elden Ring, like the meaning of the trees, because
Mm.
like the trees are such a, if Poison Ivy if she escaped from Arkham Asylum and she began playing Elden Ring, I really do think that those trees and the stories that the rocks and trees would tell because of how much she loves nature would hit her on a much deeper level. No, but for real, no, I do. You're 100% right, dude. Like the uh, God of War 2018
Mm.
was a specific example where I relate more to um I think and this I don't have kids, but I think the father-daughter dynamic is more painful than the father-son dynamic. But that's also because I kind of got a not I got a good relationship with my dad, but I don't really look at him as like we ain't got to get deep into that, but it's yeah. Anywho, I don't even want to talk about that, but it's yeah. It doesn't quite hit the same way because I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't look at father figures as yeah. I don't look at father figures like that. But
Yeah, no, that's
it's
fair.
um it's you're completely right though, where it is all about what you're personally feeling in that if a story is being told in that vague pretentious manner, it actually might be for you to reflect on something if it specifically hits with you in the thing that you're needing for it to represent in that moment. And in that sense, there is a lot of power in some of that vague pretentious horse shit.
And what better game to carry the torch on than that? Moorhun Kart. The hell is
Oh
this?
baby. Now, do you talk about Moorhun Kart and the pretentious vague horse shit in there? There's so many messages and meanings. One time I got a rocket and I shot it at a dude, and that really reflected all of the conflict that's going on
Oh, the
with all the
pumpkin
wars across
head.
the world.
The killing plants and oh my god, the yeah,
Yeah, and
Jesus.
I mean, there was one time where I did accidentally run over a plant, and at that point, I vowed to become vegan from that point on. So, like, it is. I appreciate the storytelling in Moorhun Kart 4. Listen, it's a kart game. It's not as good as a Mario Kart or a Crash or probably many other on offer, but we don't get many kart games. And that's once again something else that I don't talk about because we don't get many kart games. But I really fucking love kart games. Like I really, really, really love kart games. And so I went through, played the little Grand Prix mode or whatever it's called, like the tournament, finished that, And it's it's maybe a little bit over the top with the environmental hazards. We just talked a lot about my love for environmental effects and just all the crazy shit you can do with, well, I'm going to drop this down on you. Oh, you're going to fall into this hole. But like, boy, you're playing this thing and it's every 2 seconds avoiding a hole, avoiding a hazard, dodging some shit. But yeah, if you're looking for a good chill split screen, it only took me like maybe an hour and 30 minutes to run through the full like single player thing. So this is definitely something that you're going to want to play with a buddy.
Mm.
Just do some races, chill out for an hour, fuck around while you're drinking some beers or whatever. But I think it's a little bit pricey. 25 bucks for this thing is a little bit on the pricier end. I think something like 10 to 15, not
Yeah,
10, but 15 to even
15.
15 to 20. Yeah, 14.99 to 19.99 would have been the right range for this game in my opinion. But yeah, I'll drop that. Uh, to me, here's the thing is that you're not I don't think you're really going to get a ton of replay value out of Moorhun Kart 4. I didn't even know there were other Moorhun Kart games. Once again, this is the anomaly of diving into the PlayStation Store and just randomly purchasing shit. But it is a well-made enough game if you're looking for a kart game. Would I recommend it at $25? No. Would I recommend it if you and a buddy are splitting it? Sure. You know, you both pay 13 bucks. Cool. I think it's worth $13, but not 25. So not a bad game. I'll drop it in the C tier.
Yeah, because I was looking, I was like, obviously have Warriors Abyss on my list, and that was also if you're buying like the basic edition, that's $25. So that's the
Oh
same price as
Jesus.
this. So you're talking like a full-fledged like roguelike that you could sit there like there's about 130 characters.
Well, how about we jump straight into that?
Yeah.
Because I'm
So
actually really curious.
big fan of roguelikes, of course. Um, huge Isaac fan, huge Slay the Spire fan, and it was weird because it was the January showcase that this got shown, I think, or the February one. It was one of the two. It was the
Hmm.
first time. I don't know if they announced it before that, but it was the first time I was seeing it. And I mentioned it in last month's thing, and I'd basically just begun playing it. And unfortunately, I didn't end up getting any more footage, so it's the same crap footage of me having not really any clue what was going on. But man, did I master this game! It is. That's not like even a
Nice.
thing of like. I don't think I should get a pat on the back. Everyone can master this game. This is like one of them weird power trip things of you play like 6 runs because you're constantly getting stronger and stronger. And then the moment you get to like 4 characters deep in that tree, everybody is just insanely powerful. And once you understand that, okay, I need to build fire with this person, or strength with this person, or vigor with this person, and you just ball out of control. And it is just, it's for a winning run, maybe like a 45 minutes to an hour if you're absolutely like
Nice.
mastered it. And that's the thing of like what I don't like about um what they've done with Isaac. They've made it longer. Like I don't need like a run to take me above an hour. Like that's the sweet spot. Like an hour per run is fine.
How long did it take you to technically like beat the game?
That's what I mean. In the first like victory, it was probably about an hour and 10 minutes of not
Oh, so you
understanding
just
because you get
oh
to the
damn.
end and you get the credits. Well, once you beat that final boss, you get
Oh,
credits, and that basically you've been summoned by a god, and they're like, "Oh, you did your job. Goodbye," kind of thing. And then you're going back and back because you're playing with different characters. You bet you're doing the same thing. You're not getting like extra story pieces and stuff. Unfortunately, that's something they could have improved on. But you're just going through its wouldn't say it's not all of the characters, but it's the majority of the characters from Dynasty Warriors and
Dynasty.
Samurai
Yeah.
Warriors. So it's mixing the
Wow.
blend of both of them franchises, and it's just yeah, it's incredible. The only thing that really sucks is the bosses. Ironically, they're not very well designed. It's the stages leading up to the boss fights where you have the most fun because that's where it's 2,000 characters on screen and you're absolutely tearing through them, doing like 500 kills in one sweep kind of thing, and it's yeah,
It-
it's a hell of a
do
lot of
you
fun.
think do you think this is one I definitely need to check out before like we get to talking game of the year and all that? Is it like on that caliber?
It's the very difficult thing when you're. Did you enjoy Hades as the what you played of it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the thing where I often talk about Hades when I talk about like games that I think might be not necessarily overrated, but games where I don't necessarily agree with the general consensus. Like if people would rank it at a 9 or a 10, I'd rank it at like a 8, something like that, but I still liked it a good deal. It's not like I didn't like it at all.
It may take a few characters to because there
Click.
are like, when you're beginning, there's a few characters that are just like objectively bad. When you don't
Okay.
understand like the mechanics, they don't function because you need other characters to be unlocked to basically get them to function.
S-
So
Is it a thing where you unlock? So if I fail a run, I still unlock new
yeah,
characters each
you're
time I'm going out.
constantly
Oh,
earning
okay.
you're constantly earning gems, and the thing is, every single time you purchase a character out of the tree, you're constantly getting a passive like attack buff to all characters globally.
Oh, cool. So it's not like
And
completely going back to ground zero.
no. You're constantly there's a
Nice.
currency system going up and up and up. And then on top of that, when you're buying these characters, when you find them in your run, if they had say, if they were from the same family, they will have bonuses. So that's what I mean with like the snowballing effect. Once you get to a certain point in the game, it's highly likely that once you've beaten like your third run, you'll never lose again.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
just pure enjoyment. You're just playing it for the. That's what I was doing. I 100%ed it. Absolutely loved it. It's my most enjoyable roguelike since Isaac that isn't card based.
Well, fuck it. I'll buy it then.
And what I would say is don't worry about because it's a Koei Tecmo game. They constantly like put overpriced editions. Just get the cheapest edition. It's fine. That's what I did. I paid for the whatever it was 20, 25, whatever it was. It gets you ample enough characters to start with.
Hell
It's
yeah.
fun.
Well, I'll definitely buy them. Shit, yeah. You sold me again. I got that copy of Tales of Grace.
Oh
Where
no.
the fuck did I put that? Uh-oh. You
No,
fell
no,
off of it?
no, no. It's I will get into it. I have a gripe with it. Just a singular gripe, but it is a gripe.
Hey, you can go ahead and
So
jump onto it if
I
you want
will
to after you rank.
throw Warriors Abyss into S.
Oh, S. Holy shit.
But that this is the thing of where you turn around and was saying like with when you hear people talk about Hades, that's probably an A for you. That wouldn't be an S.
Okay. Totally
It
fine.
is like I said. I don't think you quite like you saw my playtime in Isaac. It's almost like what 800 hours.
Yeah, right.
Like
You just like that loop a lot.
it's when there's a great roguelike on loop, I will play it to death. And Warriors Abyss was a hell of a game. But moving on to try to pause this.
So I'm really curious how big of a gripe this is for Tales of Grace. Is it like such a
All
gripe where
right.
it's like, dude, don't even play it or
Oh no, absolutely not.
okay.
So I need to try to find my playtime so that I can give like accurate information on this. But as I said with the beginning, I think I talked about it last month, right? Because that's when I got you to convince you to buy it and stuff. It's a
Yeah.
really fun JRPG. I love what they were doing with the job system, which is uh, rebranded as titles in this game. Like you're constantly getting stronger, you're constantly unlocking new abilities. The combat loop is fun, it's engaging. and you're able to do the thing with, like I said, with like Dragon Age Origins, where you're able to tweak even you, the character. You could basically have the game autopilot it for you if you wanted it to, which is nice because I'm constantly having to go like idle AFK. So it was nice to be like, okay, go in the Coliseum while I head off and do something for like 40 minutes, and you go
Right.
fight the battles. So there's that. Um, right. So it took me about 50 hours to beat,
That's steep.
and and the final 4 hours
Oh
are in
no.
the same thing of metaphor, and I don't know.
Difficulty.
It's not even difficulty. It's because the thing I was praising is that the reason I couldn't get into Tales of Symphonia was because they front headed like these weird puzzle dungeon things, and that's what Grace's kind of closes off with. It's a bunch of same looking dungeons, jumping down these environments, pushing these pods, walking back, putting batteries into something, going basically back to the start of the dungeon, and it's respawning the enemies, and it's just like, why are you wasting my time with this? Like, your
Fuck.
pacing was at S tier up until this point. Like, it was flawless. There was no all of the things with your like modern day modifiers of being like sprint faster, earn more XP and everything. It just made the game so enjoyable. There was no grinding. There was no frustration. It was just like, this is a fun, light-hearted story that you're presenting, and I'm just going through it. And it's just a
Yeah.
journey and experience. Why is this? Why do JRPGs fixate on having to do like puzzle dungeons that are
Yeah.
really badly thought out as well? That's the thing of like, you can do a puzzle dungeon well, but they don't usually do it well. It just feels like a waste of the player's time and just grinds the pace to a halt.
That's
And
such a fucking bummer, dude.
I just don't understand. But I will say the opening like 10, 15 hours is something that you do need to experience. It's a really fun game. Like the way Tails handles combat is really cool. I think you'll click with it pretty well.
And then the next 30 is just rough.
No, not the next 30.
Okay.
The 50 hours, the final four is like,
Okay. Okay. I can probably deal with that. I can probably deal with that.
but
That is
you can just probably with the because I had to do it. I had no idea what the hell the game wanted me to do. In there's you basically go into a plant basically, so everything looks the same, and it's just like I think I feel like I've been in every single fucking room. I've done everything that you want me to do, and it's the type of thing of no, you need to drop down into this specific thing to get this to land here. And it's just like
uh,
how enjoyable,
God,
fun.
that really puts a fucking a blockade in the way of me really wanting to dive into that. That's such a bummer, man. Even just hearing it's 50 hours, it's like, is that like main story 50?
No, I did some grinding in the Coliseum.
Okay.
You could probably clear it in about 30.
That's doable. 30's doable. 30's doable.
Um,
So, I mean, are you like after finishing it, are you
oh,
at the point
I'm
where
this. It is an A tier game reaching its fingers into the S tier
damn. Okay.
because it is an incredible JRPG, and it's the thing of like I don't know what the hell they've done because I love this game to bits, and then I went on to play because I tried my first Tales game was Tales of Arise, and I love that. Really, really love it. It's
Super good.
probably the strongest game in the series in my opinion. And then I was like, okay, this like a new JRPG series that I love? And I went back to Vesperia, hated it, absolutely despised it, and then went to Symphonia and I was like, I hate this. What the hell is going on? Am I only gonna like love the modern ones? And I was like, all right, I'll do the rule of three. With Graces being like kicked out again, and I played Graces and I loved it, and it's just like, what on earth happened? Like, what is this? Like, I have no knowledge of who makes these. Like, I know Bandai make them, but I'm
Mhm.
talking like individual like studio heads of like directors and
Right.
stuff. Like, I don't know who the hell made them other two games because I just don't. I hate them. I genuinely I would put them as like D tier games. Like they're just not enjoyable. So it's just crazy to like think about that. But yeah, it'll be an A tier game for me. It's really fun.
All right. Well, shit, dude. I'll probably end up jumping into it before the end of the year, but Warriors Abyss that climbed up to the top for me. That's
Yep.
I can definitely deal with an hour and a half
I
of
I would say definitely put that ahead of um, Tales of Graces because I think not only is it more digestible, I think you'll end up enjoying it regardless more anyway.
Perfect. I'll definitely be picking that up. Well, my friend,
Last
the
one.
last one up on your list is the Yakuza, Mr. Pirate Yakuza. I finished this last month, and you are what you're probably like, you're pretty good ways into it, aren't you?
I can quickly have a look. So I still have the Xbox app open as I was pulling information for Tales. 7 hours.
$7.
7 hours
Yeah,
in,
so
and I've done nothing. I've got two Mad Atlantis. That is it.
okay.
Um,
It's really not that big of a game though. Like
I've
you're
noticed.
when you get
Mm.
yeah, you'll get to well, not never mind. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. I don't want to potentially spoil anything in case you're
I mean,
not. I
I
think you
assume you're gonna
know.
go to Honolulu.
Yeah.
Um, they they keep mentioning it. It is also called in Hawaii. Hint, hint, and that was where they put us in in Figgy last
Yeah,
time. So
very true.
I don't think we're going to be going to Camarocho anytime soon, guys. Um,
Yeah.
I I don't like the combat.
Oh,
I don't know what it
that is
is. I'm not clicking with it. I don't know what is going on with the way they've set him up. I'm just not enjoying the changes that they've decided to do. Like adding the extra button press thing to activate your heat. I just liked it when it was just triangle and it was just
yeah.
kept simple. Like, why am I having to do an extra step? That doesn't make any sense. That it just feels like a step back. That's not an
Unnecessary. Yeah.
improvement. That's just like why are we doing that? Because there's nothing that's been added. Yeah, it just doesn't. I personally don't understand that. Um, I don't know if you felt the same as well. I don't know. It feels that the visuals seem like a weird. They don't look as good as they could, and I don't. And when I was looking it up, it's because they're still making PS4 and Xbox One versions, and it's just like,
Yeah.
man, you guys really need to shed them systems because I'm feeling like certain aspects of this game aren't looking as good as they probably could be.
Yeah. We're at that part where it's just like, I think we're at the time now where there is no more like truly fucking next gen for most publishers. I think most publishers are just going to ride this thing out to the end of the generation. I mean, we're at the end of the generation. We're 3 years away from the end of the generation. They're going to ride this thing out until they can't. And I guess that'll be whenever PS6 comes out, they'll quit putting their games on PS4, maybe, hopefully,
I don't even think they
doubtfully.
will, though. That's the thing. I think we've hit a point in technology where it's just like there's so many people on PC that are reluctant to upgrade their specs as
True.
well, and because it's that level of optimization, it's not great. It's just it works. It's functionable.
Yeah.
So there's just that. Um, so yeah, there's them two gripes, but everything else I'm enjoying. I like the story. It's the classic Yakuza shenanigan crap of just yeah. It's about as much as I expect. If you were to spitball me an idea of being like, yeah, Majima, he's landed on an island. He's got amnesia and he doesn't know who the hell he is, and it's just like, yeah, well, sure, why not? And it's just he's sitting there, he's homeless, and he's cooking out of an oil drum. Well, of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? Oh, he has a pet tiger that fetches him golden eggs. Yeah, of course he does. Because why wouldn't he? It's just like Christ Almighty, man.
It's so funny, man. I
um,
the tiger, the voice acting for the tiger is the funniest shit in the world. Where I think it's just a human that's doing it. Like I think that's just a human making roars and
yep.
shit. It's fucking hilarious, man. It's so good. So good.
Yep. Um, they put a little bit more emotion in on the Japanese side. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It is still a human doing it. Does it a little bit better. Um,
We're fucking nitpicking about roars, the Japanese roar
yep,
versus the English roar.
absolutely, because that is what RGG does for me. Um,
Oh man.
but yeah, what needs to be praised? The ship combat. I think I sent you a message when I was talking about it when I first booted up. I said, "How on earth did Ubisoft spend all their millions on Skull and Bones?" And RGG just basically turned around and was like, yeah, we'll make a pirate game, put it out in like 2 years, and was like, yeah, we just did everything that you tried to do, but better.
Yep.
It's embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing. And the thing is like, that's not even just a dig at Ubisoft because they genuinely made some of the best turn based JRPG combat as well. So they've put JRPG games to shame, in my opinion, as well, where they were just like, yeah, we'll do an April Fool's joke, and everyone was like, no, do it. And they were like, all right,
We
fine.
will.
And it was just kind of that thing of like, yeah, they're not gonna like, they're either not gonna put it out and it's just genuinely gonna be a joke, or it's just gonna be like a spin-off kind of title, like a Yakuza Dead Souls kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, that doesn't really function, but at least they're being creative. No, it's like at the top of the genre. Like it's genuinely baffling. Like they don't get enough credit, and even though they are constantly seeing like high 80s into 90s and just people shouting praise, it just feels like they still don't get enough credit.
I think you can make an argument that they're kind of like the top dog of the industry right now. I mean, in terms of productivity, in terms of output and
Yeah.
quality, like there's not because Insomniac's even kind of slipping with Wolverine. FromSoft, they got a formula, but in terms of variety, I don't think. Well, Armored Core, yeah, FromSoft and like RGG, I think are top two.
Yeah, I think with FromSoft, it's a wait to see for the next 2 years if they can keep that up, because it's
Yeah,
obviously been Armored Core, Elden Ring, Night Rain, and
yeah,
it's like, well, Night Rain isn't internally developed by them. That's Bando. Armored Core, I don't know how long that was in the works for, and obviously Elden Ring took several years to make. So it's like, okay, are we
yeah.
gonna see like a lull period like we usually do with FromSoft? So
Well, yeah, and also it's like how the fuck do you follow up Elden Ring? That's gonna be
Elden Ring
which
3, of
Armored
course.
I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly. And at that point, I think you could kind of make the argument where it's like, okay, maybe they're not quite in terms of variety, maybe not quite. Like RGG, they got Virtua Fighter in development. Like that's fucking crazy, dude. That's like mind blowing. But yeah, it's that Pirate Yakuza is probably my second favorite game of the year so far. I don't know about that. It's close, really close. It's up there for that and Cabernet.
I'm gonna quickly scan the list before I say anything because I don't think it is for me. I think I have enough gripes with that combat. Mm, are we
Well,
talking
I
about
mean,
games that
probably
released this year?
yeah. So I would assume yours is probably Split Fiction and Shadows over
Yeah,
Pirate. Yeah. So
so it is sitting third place, but it's kind of the thing of like it's never gonna be like a bad. I'm never gonna not play any of these games. It's
right,
just a fun, stupid experience. Um,
totally. I think I'm
so
at the point now where I'm gonna play all the new ones, and then I'll kind of go back and dabble with the old ones, maybe here and there.
I'll put it in A. It's not S.
Nice.
Because when I'm thinking back to it, what do you call it? Infinite Wealth held me hostage. This isn't
Hmm.
holding me hostage, and I was hoping it would, but I don't. I think I'm actually like I prefer their turn-based combat. I'm starting to like swing that way. If this is the way that
Yeah.
they're going, because I didn't really like a Dragon Gaiden was okay. I didn't really love it. It was just like, yeah, that's more of it, and this feels like a minor step back. So it's like, yeah, I kind of like what you do with the turn-based combat. It's crazy.
Well, dude, That's our ranking, isn't it? Obviously, I can't see
Yeah,
the tier maker, but yeah.
just casual
So
3 hours.
yeah, nice little 3 hour ramble there for you good people at home. I hope y'all all enjoyed. And obviously leave your comments. Let us know what you have been playing, the best game you have played in the month of March, heading into the April season with Expedition. I think that's the big game. Or is April is Split Split
So
Fiction. Is Expedition, is that May?
it's no, it is April. Is next month. It's late, like 25th
Late.
ish. Where and
Nice.
South of Midnight's at the beginning. I think at like the 4th or 5th, maybe. I think you can get early
So
access as well.
okay. I think what we can do for next month is we'll hold off on the ranking until like the 29th or something. We'll come in here on the 29th. That way we both have a little bit of time, or at least I'll definitely be jumping into Expedition. It's yeah, it's Game Pass as well. So we'll both
Oh,
probably be jumping in there.
I'm picking up the physical for that regardless. Like
Yeah, same.
I know we should temper expectations and like curb bias. I don't see how that isn't my game of the year for this year. I
Can't go
don't
that far. I gotta I gotta see it to believe it. I still have a lot of question marks on that one. I can't lie. I
I've heard
that's
nothing but it's even the thing of like the early review. There's not been any nitpick
yeah.
whatsoever. It's just like if there was anything there that could have gone wrong, they would have alluded to something.
Hey, listen, man, we've seen it in the past couple years, like debut teams coming out with a fucking Kena Bridge of Spirits, or I think Stray was the first game from that B12 studio or B2, whatever the name of the studio is, and then that ends up getting nominated for Game of the Year. So it's not like we're in unprecedented territory. I just first time, brand new studio. I have question marks. I hope that they deliver. I think they will deliver, but will they deliver on split fiction level? I don't know. Joseph Ferris is cooking up he's cooking up a heat factory over there. But I'm really excited to check it out. So I will definitely try to jump in and play at least a few hours of that before next month. That way we can talk about that. And yeah, my good people, stay tuned. A lot more good shit on the way. Loon. We got his channel in the description down below. So make sure to check Loon out. He's cranking out some vidges over there on his channel. So stay tuned to Loon.
Yep. Daily uploads, 1 p.m. GMT. Let's
Daily.
yeah, daily uploads.
Cooking.
I've got like
Hell
40
yeah.
in the backlog. I gotta get them out. Because I originally was doing it
Nice.
weekly, and then obviously you sit down and you play a game, and then I'm like, oh, I've made like 4 parts. And it's just like, well, I'm like, when I'm talking in these parts, these are relevant like to the now as well, if that makes sense. So when I'm going to be putting these out, the stuff I'm talking about is also irrelevant. So it's just like, man, I need to kind of like get these out quicker. Because like I
Dude,
said,
that's fucking awesome.
in this ranking, just to further drag the video out, but it is what it is. Ghostwire is entirely recorded, ready to go, start to finish, along with Metal Gear Survive. Neither of them have gone
Nice.
live yet. Just finished Rage, and 10 parts deep with Shadows. But Shadows is a difficult one
Yeah.
because it's like, man, I don't want to waste people's like I said, I don't want to waste people's time like clearing camps, but I'm gonna have to do that off camera and just solely focus on the narrative shit because
Yeah.
that gear grind.
Yeah. Just level up and all that shit.
Yep.
But hey, dude, check out Loon posting daily over there on the YouTubes and stay tuned. We got a lot more shit coming for you soon. So hit us in oop, burp. Hit us in the comments with your favorite games you played this month. And yeah, we shall see you good people very, very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.